What is up, everybody? Welcome to Season 2 of the RSL. I'm Tasteless. Joined with me is State. How you doing, man?
Man, I am so excited to be back in the RSL studio. Another season kicking off. The set looks good. The graphics look good. The player lineup looks good. Dude,
Yeah.
I am stoked to get started.
I'm so excited to be back, guys. We missed you. We had a great time at EWC. But now we're back here with 2 more seasons of RSL here for this year.
Yeah, and there's a lot to look forward to, man. Starting with a banger of a day here. Actually going to be Group D to kick things off, and with players like Maru, Shin, MaxPax, and Mana here just on day 1 of the RSL. It's going to be a very good season.
Yeah. It's going to be 4 days a week, as you guys can see here. We've been a little bit squished as far as scheduling goes. We wanted to make sure we could get Season 2 and Season 3 out in time, and so we thought the best times to do this would be Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So if you're joining us right now, be sure to tune in here for the next 3 days after today. And it's going to be basically an entire RSL season wrapped up in a month.
Yeah, it's going to be jam-packed with action. Of course, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday this week going to be shooting through these 4 group stages and then, of course, moving on into the playoff bracket.
We are once again sponsored by Archon Studio. Guys, this is the tabletop miniatures game. They stuck with us for a whole other season, and we love what they're making. Now, the StarCraft miniatures tabletop game is not out for sale yet, but it will be later on at the end of this year. So check out their website. They've also got a bunch of other great miniature sets for various other franchises that I love. And because of them, we were able to up our prize pool. So thank you so much, Archon Studio.
And of course, if you want to support us directly on Patreon, you can do that by going to RSL Revival's Patreon. You see the link right there, patreon.com/ReviveSC2. There are a ton of different tiers where you can decide your support, more than just you're seeing right here on screen. And of course, in every single season, it's fans like you that are voting on which players are going to be invited, which maps we're going to have featured here in this tournament. And if you want to give to the RSL, we couldn't do this without you, so we sincerely appreciate your support.
Yeah, this is the state that we're in right now. It's going to be down to the community to fund this, and we will build this tournament out as big as it can get. Another great way to support us is to go get some RSL merch. If you are a Patreon member, there's a 20% discount. You can go to tastelessthreads.com. That's my merch site, excuse me. We've got hoodies, mugs, t-shirts, pins, anything you can think of to support your love for the RSL.
And of course, also follow the RSL on YouTube, youtube.com/@ReviveSC2. I know the team did a fantastic job in Season 1 of really compiling everything into a spoiler-free VOD. It's been great to catch up. On the days that I'm not down here at the RSL studio, I'm watching at home, I'm catching up on the VODs. Great way to be in the action. And of course, building things like the YouTube up is going to help us attract more sponsors, build this thing to be even bigger and better. So definitely do check that out.
Yeah, well, the YouTube's been growing, but it could grow a little bit faster, in my opinion. So consider subscribing and giving us your support there, because really YouTube is how a lot of StarCraft gets to most people. And that can cross-pollinate and go back over here onto our Twitch stream. And then, there's just one more thing we need to announce. Ziggy, cue it up. We're going to have the offline finals for the RSL. This is going to be another tournament after Season 3. We are looking at various venues in Seoul to rent and staff. So if you want to come and see StarCraft 2 live, it's going to be sometime in December. We don't have the exact dates booked yet. I'm actually going to be looking at some spaces next week. But we are going to be doing this finals. I'm super excited for this.
It's pretty cool, man.
Hey, watch this. Watch this, State. Hey, are you guys excited for the RSL offline finals? None of these are real people. These are all recordings at a time.
Oh, no, this is going to be an absolute thrill, man. The fact that we're here in year 1 of the RSL and we are going to be having an offline finals in a studio venue in Seoul, Korea, where an audience can show up. Oh, man, I'm getting chills thinking about it, Tasteless. It's going to be so much fun.
I'm excited. It's going to be a big step for us. But yeah, we wanted to do something that would capture the magic of, I think, what a lot of people, when they experience StarCraft at its very, very best, it's at a live event, right?
Yeah.
It's when you're sharing that energy, just like you go to a concert, right? Or you go see, a great play or a great movie with a bunch of other people. We wanted to create something where everybody can get together, Obviously, what we're doing right now is a little bit smaller scale, just this broadcast space that we built out here. But yeah, I'm super excited to get this offline event going. And yeah, thank you for the support, guys. It's been amazing. So for starting Season 2, you can see from Group A to Group D, we've got a bunch of amazing matches. Just to clarify, in case you missed it, we are starting today with Group D due to scheduling.
Yeah, so it's going to be a little bit jumbled in terms of how we are starting this one out, but as a consolation prize, Maru versus Shin for match number 1 here on the RSL Season 2. I think nobody can complain. And yeah, of course, if you're watching the VODs at home, it might be a little bit confusing why we're starting with Group D, but rest assured, you did not miss anything.
This is just day 1, yeah.
Yeah, it's always hard, you know, a tournament, not only us being the broadcast team, but the production and then all of the players. Sometimes you have to move the schedule around just a little bit to make it feasible for everybody. So yeah, Group D going to be kicking things off, and I'm honestly very excited, Tasteless, because not just Maru versus Shin, but to cast a MaxPax game later. I've been thinking about it. I don't believe I've ever actually cast a MaxPax game before.
I've never cast a MaxPax game.
I have seen him play in so many online tournaments, but I have never actually cast him, and I am very, very thrilled to get to do that here today.
Well, I mean, considering how good of a player MaxPax is, it's funny that I have not cast a game of his yet. You know what I mean? Normally, I would have come across his games at one point in time or another, but in this case, it's going to be in this RSL here today. So Shin versus Maru. We should note, by the way, Maru is playing Protoss. He does have the Protoss icon here by his name.
Yeah, wow.
This is not the first time you and I, State, have seen Maru play Protoss. I hope this time it goes a little bit better.
Yeah, all right. Game number 1 between Maru and Shin is loading up right now on our map, Persephone. Let's get to it. Shin spawning in the top left here as the red Zerg. Maru, the blue Protoss, Tasteless, in the bottom left.
Yeah. So, you know, when we had Maru play Protoss before, it was at the GSL, and I remember you and I were kind of giddy before the game cast, like, whoa, seriously, Maru's going to play Protoss? This is so crazy. We've had, actually, by the way, a couple players off-race lately. A lot of tournaments are allowing for off-racing here. I don't know if this is going to last or be a more consistent thing, or if this is a phase. But for now, he's gone for Protoss again. And, as I was saying before, we were kind of excited. What is this going to look like? Maru's one of the greatest players of all time. His Protoss is probably going to be amazing, and it was not.
Yeah, it was... His PBT didn't look particularly polished in that GSL series, and I'm kind of surprised because there's been murmurings of Clem switching to play Protoss in PvP instead of playing TvP because he's not very happy with the state of the matchup as it is right now. And without delving too much into the balance complaints that exist right now, I think this is probably the first time that I've seen a Terran player opt to play Protoss in a PvZ of all things, because just my personal opinion, PvZ feels like it's in a pretty good place. I know a lot of Zergs are going to disagree with me, but just from the games that I have seen, I feel like the better player generally wins. And yeah, I'm surprised. I thought if Maru was going to bring out a Protoss sometime today, it would probably be in a PvT, but the fact that he's playing a PvZ right out of the gates here versus Shin.
Yeah, I'm a bit curious about this because, last season, one of the big ideas that we unpacked was that PvT seems pretty good for the Protoss. It feels like the Terran kind of bounces off the Protoss. And if the Terran can't end the game, if the game just stretches out and it kind of balloons out as far as positioning goes for the Protoss and they get all the tech, they sometimes it seems like they can't be killed. But yeah, I wasn't expecting Maru to go for Protoss versus a Zerg because his TVZ has, I think, frankly, been the best TVZ for the longest in StarCraft 2. So this is a surprise to me.
Yeah, and I love the build he's going for, too. He's hit every single mark thus far, doing a very greedy no-scout PvZ opening. That allowed his Stargate to get thrown down, I think, 212. With a typical timing, you're trying to get it like 217, 218. But because of the greedy no-scout opening, get a little bit more income coming in here as Maru, much faster Stargate. And to me, this is a very good sign because I know there haven't really been many interactions between Maru and Shin just yet. The first Adept is only just now moving across the map, but the fact that he has this build completely nailed down through the first 3 minutes, it bodes well.
Yeah, well, last time we saw him play Protoss, it looked very much like a guy who's off-racing. It's like he's a great chef. He sort of can wing the recipe, but he doesn't quite know the ingredients. And so, against a very, very good player playing their main race, He definitely fumbled. He was taken out pretty easily. But so far, this looks like really clean play here from Maru.
Yeah, and actually a third adept coming in makes me wonder if he's just going to be sacking these 2 adepts with the Shade. That is a move that we see players like Showtime do relatively often, whereas a typical player, they might pull back these adepts, just allowing the Shade to complete and trading them out with Drone C, using the minerals to mitigate the surface area only on those Lings. Only 1 Ling could attack for a long time. He gets 3 drone kills. That's a fine trade for 1 adept.
Yeah, definitely worth it, getting those kills. Here comes the Oracle now. He's going to zap down, it looks like, excuse me, he's going to zap down at least 2 drones here. Misclicks, and that's going to total it out at 5. The Oracle taking some damage on the hull, but ultimately getting away.
And that goes back to that Stargate being 5 seconds faster than otherwise, because, you know, Shin had it mapped out perfectly. If it's a typical 217, 218 Stargate coming across the map, that Spore Crawler is finishing the moment the Oracle arrives at the main base of Zerg. But because Maru, you know, he hit he hit all the nails on the board right there, man. Like, it's just a beautiful build set up. Able to get a couple more drone kills, even coming in here with a stasis just being nice and annoying. I'm liking this from Maru. This is looking very good.
Yeah, I mean, Maru's so far playing a great game. Looks like he's not going to get anything done with that Oracle. That's going to be driven out. But the third base is up at a very healthy time. He's continuing to, you know, tech up here. We've got the Twilight Council about to finish, the Forge starting, and this is looking like Maru going in for a late game. 14 Lings are being made. This is probably here to meet the Adepts that are coming across the map. You should have seen that with the Overlord that was parked over the Natural.
Yeah, let's see what these Adepts are able to get done. Of course, with the Twilight Council just finishing up, there is no Glaives, but still, 6+ Adepts with an Oracle packs a hefty punch. Not able to catch that drone, moving to take the 4th base in the top right corner. Splink gets started, and yeah, Maru, he's not going to shade in on that, not when the Lings already have the preemptive surround.
I'm really curious what kind of late game style we're going to have from Maru. You know, he didn't go for anything cheesy. Oh man, hold on a second. Big Ling surround here, but the Oracles come in. They would have wiped out all those Lings very, very quickly. A shade away gets most of those Adepts to safety. And now we've got the Oracles going to fly through here once more. Now, 2 Oracles can one-shot the drones, but they have to be synced up in a position where they're both hitting at the same time. Meanwhile, a Ling counterattack coming down here, and we've got some Stalkers warping in, but that's not going to fare very well against this many Lings.
Yeah, no shield battery up just yet. It's about 85% complete, so a lot of gateway units getting taken down here. Painful loss for Maru. I feel like up until this point, he's been very happy with the state of the game, but as it is, losing those gateway units, taking a little bit of the wind out of his sails, and Shin also, after that initial volley of Adepts and Oracles, were able to get, I think, 5 drone kills, has done a very good job of parrying all the follow-up aggression. Now, we do have 4 more gateways, Blink +1, and a Templar Archives coming in, so I feel like it's probably going to be a little bit more passive 3-base play from Maru. He's also taking gases number 5 and 6 very quickly before that 4th base. And there are a couple ways you can go with this here from Maru's perspective. You could try and go for a timing attack on these 3 bases with a delayed 4th, or you might just go into more of a supreme late game composition and play it very conservatively.
Yeah, he's going to have that Templar Archives now. And, you know, for the time being, Shin has continued to grow on the map here. He's now moved into that top right location, pretty removed and far away from the Protoss. All these bases are pretty easy to hold. You know, it's about as far of a travel distance as possible, you know, as in what the map will allow for people to to grow in there. But everything after that's going to be closer to the middle of the map. Big surround here. He does morph the Archon, but that's not going to be anything that can save it in time. And picking up those 2 Templars for Lings is actually a huge win. Something you really don't see from Protosses when they play their main race.
Yeah, first 2 Templar going down is a little bit painful right there, because those are the Templar that are most likely going to have 2 storms apiece when the first attack actually commences here. Very nice catch by Shin so far with these Lings, not only getting that initial volley of Adepts and Stalkers at the 3rd base before the battery was done, but then moving in once more and getting those 2 Templar. Big win here for the Zerg, and he's feeling pretty confident, man. Maru, he is taking a 4th base, but Shin's already expanding to the gold at the 3 o'clock.
Yeah, this is right now just, you know, getting into a later and later kind of macro game here. We've got some Hydras now morphing in here. Storm's about to finish. The 5th base is actually taken here in the center right. That's a very attackable position, although sometimes we see it's not scouted. That includes this moment here. I mean, had those Oracles gone just a little bit further to the right, he would have seen that.
Yeah, and 7 drop Overlords morphed in by Shin with Overlord speed. I was expecting this to be some kind of Hydralink Bane timing attack. I was not expecting 7 drop Overlords tasteless speed just about to finish. So many Lings loading up into this. If Maru doesn't catch wind of this drop that is likely going to be going directly into his main base, he does have those 2 Adepts as a spotter over here on the left side. Things can get very scary very quickly for our Protoss player.
So this is going to be the moment where Shin is going to try to get all the damage in. He wants to drop into the main, and at the same time probably ram into the 3rd and 4th base here with the Lings and Banelings and try to kill many of these positions at once. It doesn't look like the Overlords have been spotted yet. And I will say this, we don't see this a lot in PvZ, so I'm curious how Maru exactly is going to deal with it. I mean, this is going to be a ton of damage coming inbound, and most likely everything's going to be outside of his entrance because of the way that Shin is shaping up this attack from Maru's perspective. This is going to be hard for Maru to hold.
Maru's preparing for a late game transition, adding in a second Stargate, a fleet beacon, getting static defense here at the 4th. He's expecting to just defend on the front line, but there are 7 Overlords ready to drop here in the main. Big round of Zealots get warped in. Oracle's also coming in for the defense, but now the attack is commencing on the front door. The north side of that Nexus completely unprotected. Probes are going to get sent away, but a lot of damage being done. Storm connects with some of the Hydras. In the main base, though, it looks like Shin's still getting damage. No, actually did get cleaned up. Wait, is Maru holding this tasteless?
Dude, I was so confident he would not hold this. I can't believe this is going this well. He didn't even lose the Nexus.
Wow.
So he lost 6 probes total. He lost 6, I'm going to say that again, he lost 6 probes. It was what was a really sophisticated attack. And, you know, from there, Shin's army is very deflated, right? Like, he spent all that money on the upgrades for the drops on the Overlord. He had a lot of Banelings crash in. Ideally, you would have carved out at least like half of the main, probably taken out probes, a ton of them, and then taken out the Nexus too. That didn't happen at all.
Yeah, that's kind of stunning. I saw the Zealot warp into the 2 Oracles, and I was thinking there is no world where this is going to be enough to deal with these 7 drop Overlords, but I guess Maru just barely had enough. Maybe Shin a little bit too focused on the attack at the front, wasn't able to focus down perhaps, say, the Oracles there in the main base. He's going to go in for round 2 right now with a drop. This isn't getting paired with an attack on the front, so Maru is able to recall a big group of units right now, mostly Zealots and 1 Mortal, so not the anti-air that he needs to take down the Overlords. They will escape, but still crisis averted, and once more Shin trying to just put the battering ram here on Maru's expansion, getting good connections on the probes, but Maru's still sitting at 70 workers. He's able to deflect this attack as well.
Yeah, he got some worker kills, but probably not enough. There's another drop coming in here. We can see, by the way, the mothership is about to pop out. And, you know, Maru has just been so on top of defending this everywhere that frankly, it's been some of the best defensive play I've seen from a Protoss in this matchup. Like, he's really just kind of shutting everything down. Now, Shin hasn't been punished yet, but it's not really Maru's turn to try to do that attack yet. But, you know, I would say maybe there's 1 more round of Banelings he could try to morph and try to hit here. But after that, it's going to be Maru's turn to take some major moves here on the map.
The defense up until this point has been pretty stunning. I think if we're playing where this is barcode versus barcode, say it's like a hidden name tournament, you would be expecting this to basically be a top player. Yeah. Maru's PvZ looks so good, worlds above the way his PvT looked when he tried playing that in GSL a couple of months ago. It may be Shin not showing enough respect for Maru's off race here in ZVP. He went for a very bold, kind of aggressive style with that 7-drop Overlord, and yes, he has had a lot of the wind out of his sails since then, but I kind of feel like maybe if you go for something a little bit more straight up here against Maru, you're going to be better because it is his off race, but at the same time, it's just been so solid from our Protoss. Carriers now arriving. These Storms very good connecting on the Banelings. Even the Mothership Cloak coming in, tasteless.
Yeah, he's hitting really hard right now. The Mothership is backing up. There's not that many Protoss units back here, but at the same time, it's only Lings and Hydras here. The Nexus is so low, I think that's going to be picked off, at least as collateral here in this fight. And from here, Shin has actually flattened that spot. It's funny, the first and the second attack didn't really do that much, but this one did. This was the one that actually broke Maru. And, you know, the Mothership and the 1 carrier, they're not useful at all if they're not backed by a solid ground army. In fact, the Interceptors can't even leave the carrier without getting shot down. I think Shin is about to win this game.
Yeah, it does look that way, but honestly, a very, very impressive performance here from Maru. In game number 1 versus Shin, playing Protoss, and you know, he's not out of the game just yet. It's still 71 probes to, what, 79 drones. So the economy is relatively similar, especially once that fourth base gets saturated in the bottom left here for Maru, which Shin certainly has not spotted. But yeah, things are looking a little bit dire here for the Protoss.
Yeah. Now, Maru is actually growing into what I assume, was this his fifth base that he basically took? Okay. And so he's just going to stay there. He might have to try to power up. I don't think he can take another Nexus. And, you know, the game's fairly simple for Shin right now. He's going to basically garner as many lings as possible and probably come in here and try to hit again. And, you know, Protoss is only good when their army is at a certain level of sophistication. I guess that is not true if you have Mass Blink Stalkers. That's kind of a unique situation. But most of the time you want to have, like, some Templars, some Archons, you know, a Mothership, Carriers, and then Stalkers and Zealots in there. So we're seeing him try to build out that sophisticated army again here. And if he can weather the next storm, he should be okay. But, you know, Shin is growing rapidly. In fact, he's almost out of expansions on his side of the map.
Yeah, Shin, I think he's now getting a sense that there is another expansion here for Maru, so Maru not down for the count just yet. A lot of lings get taken out. Man, that is a bloodbath of lings. Just absolute mincemeat from those +3 Zealots. And I'm a little worried for Shin. I think everyone's going to agree that he's probably in a better position in this game than Maru, but the addition of Lurkers here versus a mostly Air Force from the Protoss player. I guess it is only 5 carriers, but what? It's 12. Okay, now 17 Hydralisks in terms of anti-air. That's not very many. Even more Lurkers getting morphed in. If those Hydras get taken down, Tasteless, things could spiral very badly for Shin.
Well, Maru's going to move out. Shin does have the option to try to do a counterattack. You could almost see Maru kind of sharking around the map here, trying to find maybe some fight he can take. He did send some of the Zealots probably out to try to basically punish a hatchery that was going to be unguarded, but it was killed off, and that's a lot of minerals lost. Maru's going to try to move out here again, and there's so many Lurkers, and I just don't know how this ground army is going to push through this. And there's a lot of carriers, but there's also a lot of Hydras.
Oh, man, Shin is going to be able to get an angle. Oh, he's backing off for a minute. These armies, they're posturing over here on the left side. If Shin can siege these Lurkers in range of the Nexus, I think it's going down no matter what. And that is exactly what happens right here. So Maru has a very tough decision to make. Do you try and breach this position to save the expansion? I think it's nigh impossible, and he's making the correct call. He is backing off right now. He's fighting with the carriers. He's getting some good storms in. At least one right there connecting with, what, 5 or 6 Hydras, trying to lower their HP quite a bit. And this is part of the problem here for Shin. Yes, the Interceptors are getting taken down, but there was also a lot of Hydras that fell and took damage. If these Interceptors are able to be recreated here by Maru, then suddenly the dynamic of this fight can really change in a hurry, and that's why we have 19 Corruptors in production for Shin.
And this is really where he does the supply dump. He sends all these out here. We can see stim the Hydras forward for a second there. He's going to release all that supply and then rebuild it back into Corruptors. And then the Corruptors, you can throw those away and then re-max out into another army. And, you know, look, Maru's not out of the game yet, but he has been rocked so far by Shin.
He basically has one punch that he can go with and try and win the game, but against 19 Corruptors, even though they don't have air armor against this upgraded carrier fleet, I think that's looking pretty good right now for Shin. The anti-air on the ground for Maru, it's basically just Archon and Storm. There are 4 Stalkers in total with this army. The Templar are relatively low on energy. I think we might have 3 Storms in total with this roaming force. And things are very scary now for Maru because Shin just has to bypass the Skytoss fleet one more time, get on top of another Nexus, and suddenly Maru's economy is crippled. And that's basically what's happening right here.
Yeah, he's going to push in here, and I don't think the Nexus can be saved. The Lurkers are just going to do too much damage. Actually, I guess most of them aren't close enough to actually be hitting stuff. The Interceptors have been remade. There's a ton of Corruptors out here, and it seems like he's going to keep them in the back. He doesn't want to dive on these just yet, I guess, for fear of Storm. And I think Maru's going to survive this. I was wrong about that Nexus falling. I thought it would take more damage. He's going to dive in once more. He does pick off one carrier, but, I mean, if most of the Nexus is still here, I don't think it's going to fall now.
Shin just queued up 19 Overlords, by the way. I don't really know what that's
that's actually insane. Why would you have that many Overlords?
I'm so confused. Did he press V instead of C on the keyboard
I think he just spent all of his minerals. Yeah, he spent all of his minerals.
I'm sorry, I know it's a really random
Overlords.
thing to point out, but I've never seen anybody queue 19 Overlords up at a moment like that one. I honestly think he meant to press C and press V.
He must have.
That's wild.
That made no sense.
In any case, Maru with a really good engagement right there was just able to find the perfect angle. He doesn't have that many storms, and now these Corruptors can finally get to work. But again, no air armor, so +2 air weapons carriers in this numbers against, what, a dozen remaining Corruptors? They actually can go toe-to-toe.
He's going to try to push across here. I mean, this is a real opportunity. It's going to be hard. I will tell you, man, making, what was that, like 14 or 19 Overlords back there for Shin, it did not help. You know, those are eggs that could have been used for units and resources that could have been used for anything other than supply that he didn't need. I think this hatch is going to fall. The question is, how far can he go with this?
Yeah, it's really going to come up to these. Oh, there are... I forgot what they're called. Remote Vipers are over here. They get the abducts. Oh, what a brain fart. 2 of those carriers immediately get taken down. Storm is going to try and chew away the rest of the Corruptors. And this is really how you're going to whittle down the Sky Fleet of Maru right now as Shin, because the hatchery went down, the gold base is fully mined out, the economies are basically reset. You can even see in the bottom left corner right now, those 2 blue arrows pointing down towards Maru's mineral income. That means that Maru is ahead in mineral income for probably the first time in, like, I want to say 12 minutes in this match, but... Again, I cannot reiterate enough how impressed I have been with Maru's PvZ. This is looking really incredible.
Well, this is like, what a special game, not just as a PvZ, but the fact that this is what we get to see from Maru, because, like, he's very complete as a player. You know, a lot of times when you watch, like, a Terran player play another race, they play it like a Terran. You know what I mean? Like, one of my favorite things to watch is if Artosis ever streams him with an off race, because he plays it, it's like you can see the hotkeys are all set up the way he has it. It doesn't quite make sense for if he's playing Protoss or Zerg or something like that. But if you covered this idea, I would not ever have guessed this is Maru, because it looks so good. By the way, big picture here. Oh, hold on. He's going to actually snipe this hatchery. But yeah, look, Zerg's going to run out of bases on this map the longer this game goes on. And there are still a couple bases that Maru can take. He just now grew into that bottom right one.
Yeah, Shin, he's sitting at 78 workers, but I think the saturation, it just isn't there right now. You can see him distance mining from what I believe was his 5th base, 32 drones, all the way here in the top right. A little bit of inefficiency right now from the Zerg player, but it's expected in a situation like this one where multiple hatcheries get sniped and you have to walk a very fine line in terms of how many minerals can you actually invest into redeveloping your economy versus trying to build the army that can actually quell what Maru is building up to, because we're right back up to 7 carriers, +2 air weapons is done. I assume +3 air weapons is on the way. I still don't think we have any air carapace coming in for Shin, so those carriers, they pack a much heavier punch than you would typically expect them to against the highly armored Corruptors. And these Lurkers, Skytoss is the answer to a Lurker-heavy composition. So while they are going to dominate the ground, I think a lot of this is going to come down to the spellcaster control. Is Shin going to be able to abduct enough carriers, or perhaps even Tempest, to try and whittle down the Protoss army and get a favorable engagement? Or is Maru going to be able to sidestep that problem and pick off these key units from the Zerg the same way that he did when he defended his 4th base a few minutes ago?
It's been a weird spot here for the Zerg. I mean, Maru has basically fully recovered here. And as long as he can, you know, at this point in time, I don't even know that he has to go kill the Zerg. He just has to basically outlast him. This game is looking a lot like these TVZs we had all the time, which are basically exhaust play TVZs, where Maru would never actually go in there for the kill, but would instead just keep defending, and eventually Zergs run out of money, and there's one more base left on the map, and Maru takes it.
All right, another engagement coming in. Oh, huge storms right now on those Corruptors. So much damage being done, and not only the damage, but also the damage being mitigated as those Corruptors try to have to evade the storms coming in. They're all now deep in the red. A lot of Tempest and carriers have been picked off, but these Corruptors are very slow to regenerate HP. Maru gonna try and find some more damage. Another carrier gets taken down. That storm whiffing a little bit right there on the Corruptors as the expansion in the bottom right corner, completely devoid of probes now. 16 workers going down as this fight continues.
Yeah, that base in the bottom right has fallen. Maru will eventually have to occupy more Oh, never mind. It's still there. That's insane. I saw the Lings leaving. I thought surely that's why they're doing that. Yeah, well, Maru's going to keep pushing out here. He's taking out a lot of high-value units. This is a lot of gas going down right now. All these Corruptors getting wiped. The question is going to be, will the follow-up here from Shin be enough? It's 103 supply to 123, so both these guys have gone through nearly half of their supply.
I kind of feel like Maru just did it. Shin doesn't have any gas left in the bank. He's making 7 more Hydras. He can't make much more anti-air than that. We still have 4 carriers on the map. 2 more carriers just finished up from that main base. How do you stop 6 carriers right now with Shin, Tasteless? I don't think you can.
I don't think you can, man. I mean, more carriers than Hydras right now. This is kind of insane. He's going to come down here with a little bit more. Now, the Lings, I mean, they're going to be annoying, but they can't do anything to address the air threat here. The Queens can be kited, and basically you just play keep away. More carriers are going to come in here and merge up with the rest of this. I think Maru wins.
Wow, there's just no gas left to recreate any anti-air here for Shin. All that damage from the storms earlier on the Corruptors completely thwarted the Corruptor army. Shin takes a drink.
That's insane.
And the Protoss player Maru takes down Shin in game number 1 here of RSL Season 2. I was not expecting that. He looked so good.
Is he going to play Protoss like through the whole tournament? Do we know? We didn't know he was going to play Protoss until we got here to the studio today. Is the dream going to come true where everybody just plays Protoss? It's just PvP.
It's a utopia.
What we all want, what the fans need. I don't know. That was a very special PvZ. I've never quite seen a game where it's like, yeah, there's just enough carriers and not enough gas for the Zerg. He can't get enough Hydras. You know, if you're going to stop interceptors, you need like a giant brick of Hydras on the screen. You need this burst damage to come down and make the carriers useless, make them flying paperweights. There's no way he could actually get enough Hydras out to ever be able to combat the carriers, so there was no way for him to recover.
Yeah, that was an interesting game for more reasons than just Maru playing Protoss. I wonder how that would have gone, because I'm assuming the 19 Overlords were a mistake coming in from Shin.
Well, that has to be a mistake, right? You have 200 supply, and there's 19 Overlords being made.
If we have 2,000 more minerals going into Corruptors that moment, I feel like Maru was very close to being broken. There was one stage in the game where he was down to, a Zealot, a Carrier, I think a Mothership or something, where like the 3 units that he had on the map that could actually fight, right after they traded armies by that 4th base. But in the end, Maru just barely able to thread the needle, stay alive, some really good resilience. And I love that comment you made earlier about how it's reminiscent of Maru when he was at his best in TVZ, was going for those exhaust plays where you basically mine the entire map. The style that he was going for there as Protoss is basically the same thing. It's the closest parallel that we have in the current state of StarCraft 2 to that old exhaust play that Terrans featured. Clem to great success doing Ghost Mech at the last, not the last EWC last year. And also Maru wrote it to so many championships, to so many tournament wins. And here we go, game number 2. Maru once more playing Protoss here, spawning in the bottom left of ley lines, and Shin in the top right, the red Zerg. Can Maru make magic happen and win again?
Give me 1 sec. Okay, sorry, I'm back. So yeah, I mean, let's see if he can do this again. If he can pull this off, or if that was a fluke, and of course Maru shouldn't be able to off-race, and of course Shin should be able to beat him in a matchup that he's known for being extremely good at. Same time, though, it would be so hyped to see Maru get deep in this tournament, assuming he sticks with Protoss.
It would be really cool. I know that Maru was skipping a lot of tournaments earlier this year because I can't recall if it's exactly wrist problems or shoulder problems, but something certainly was not right with Maru's. He had like an injury, basically. And so to train for EWC and to be in the best possible condition that he could be for EWC, my understanding is he had to skip a lot of tournaments. He had to try and take it easy. And it's kind of funny to me as well to have right now Maru playing Protoss, which in my opinion, I think most people would agree is mechanically a bit less demanding than Terran, especially for something such as stutter stepping with Bio and a TVZ versus a guy like Shin who loves to bust out the early Ultralisks and really force a Terran player to do perfect micro with Marine Marauder and try and kite. In terms of just mechanical condition, I wonder if this has just been something Maru's been cooking up for a while, because he looked so polished in that game number 1. I do think if Shin played a little bit better, if he maybe respected Maru's PBZ a little bit more, he probably could have gotten the better end of map 1. But in any case, Maru looked fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, that was exciting. No gimmicks there, you know, no off-brand weird builds, no gotcha moments. It was just solid, good PvZ foundational defensive play. And there was a period where Shin really looked like he had basically reached the tipping point with that third attack, where, you know, it was like, what? There was like one carrier and a mothership. And you know, had he not survived that, the game would have ended. But he actually managed to push back out and then win several fights with Lurker, versus Lurker and Corruptor, and then got his counterattack punches in there. And then, you know, it was a back and forth tug of war game until the Zerg just ran out of gas. And that's always what that exhaust play is if you don't follow a lot of StarCraft, you'll watch and think, well, it's a back and forth. It's never clear who's going to win. Actually, it will be, because the player that has more bases, even if that's just the default way the race operates, like Zerg always has more bases than Protoss usually, well, they're going to mine those out faster. When you mine out those resources faster, then all your opportunities dry up. Excuse me.
Yeah, it was very well played by Maru, and I think probably one of the most impressive moments of that game is, to me, when he recognized the win condition, where he's like, you know what, you don't have the anti-air to actually deal with these carriers right now. I can move across the map and kill you. Because a lot of players, if they're going to be off-racing, actually hold that thought, okay, he is going to cancel the shades. If they're off-racing, sometimes it's hard when you're in the moment, especially in a tournament game, to make that read. Obviously for us, we can see everything. We're casting, we're observing the match. We know the game state at basically all times. When you're actually playing the game yourself, it is very hard to be able to be like, you know what, I can move across the map. I don't need to be worried about Corruptors and Vipers abducting my units anymore. I have a very good read on where my opponent's economy should be. I know what they probably can and cannot remake, and I have the confidence to move across the map and just end the game. Because if Shin had maybe 1 or 2 minutes to lick his wounds and get some more anti-air up, that game likely can continue. But the fact that Maru was able to just quickly be like, you know what, let's pull the trigger, let's move across the map, and let's kill him, tells me that he has been playing a fair bit of Protoss, because that is not something that's immediately intuitive if you're off racing in a late game.
It's really good instinct. You're 100% right, because hold on a second. Nice snipe over here. There's no way to save this Nexus. It's literally fully surrounded. It will be canceled, and then it looks like Shin's actually going to come in here for a dive. He's going to end up even getting the depths. This is a pretty bad start here for Maru. The third base timing is maybe the most important timing of a base to get up, because your second base always just basically gets up at the same time, right? Unless you personally mess up your build order. But the third base gives you the income to get the fourth base, the fifth base, and everything else in the game. So getting the deny is huge. By the way, there's 18 more Lings being made with a Roach Warren, +1 attack coming as well.
Yeah, only 45 drones right now for Shin, and part of this is him just getting ready to absorb the impact of these adepts that he scouted when he sniped that third base, perhaps knowing that Maru's going to be trying to get some counter punches in. And now these Lings with a full surround, most of these adepts are going to go down. I think 4 survive, very low on HP, but even with an Oracle and good positioning on these adepts, I think Shin can just tank the damage, take these units out, and he's free to start droning up again.
Yeah, no, he's in really good shape right now. Again, uncomfortable start here for Maru. The Lings are going to come down once more. I don't know what's actually defending over in that position, but, you know, if you don't have adepts, like a lot of them wedged in, I guess that's just enough, actually. You can hold that off. But, yeah, if you don't have anything wedged in between those minerals, the Lings are going to force a cancel there, and we would have Maru on a terrible trajectory in this game.
Yeah, and also this move by Shin forces the Oracles to stay back, so they're not getting those annoying stasis traps set off in the mineral lines. They're not able to intercept any drones maybe transferring from the main base to the natural, or for the natural to the third base, and it's a lot of pressure off of the back here of Shin. You know, it's expensive, of course, going for those Lings. Those are units that could have been drones, but the damage has been done, and having map control like this and just the general presence of knowing what Maru can and cannot do, it's a very good feeling. I like this early game much more for Shin than I did in game number 1.
So, the fourth base here for Shin is being taken down here in the lower right. And it's going to probably slow down a little bit here. We've got Lings and Banes coming. Protoss can't attack out, at least, what am I saying? He's going to attack out right now. Is he going to try to move across the map, and is this actually safe? The Lings almost seemed like it was like a traffic accident here. They crashed into the Stalkers, got a snipe, and then ran away. I guess that Maru can try to do a recall if this doesn't work, but this is kind of a ragtag army. You know what I'm saying?
Wow, look at that pylon tasteless.
Yes, that is. If only there was a name for a pylon like that, we could describe it somehow.
If only. All right, well, Maru considering to put some pressure down on the fourth base with these Stalkers and Adepts. I think recall probably has to be the play. Cybernetic Core does get taken down. How many units does Shin actually have to defend this, actually? Is finally the Hydras and Lings coming in, but with not really enough to surround and Blink being done, Maru actually doesn't even need to rely on the recall just yet. He can kind of shimmy away down to the south side where there is no creep.
Yeah, kind of funny seeing Hydras and Queens try to chase Stalkers and just walk back and get out of range. He's going to try to rotate up here. I feel like this can't work for much longer, though.
But Hydra speed is a fair bit away, so he can't just kind of do the stutter step micro and shave off some Lings without taking any big damage. You don't really mind losing the shields and even a little bit of hull damage on those Stalkers.
If Maru had a medevac to put those Stalkers in.
Oh,
he's microing them back.
Wait for StarCraft 3 tasteless.
Yeah,
it's going to happen.
Away and then medevac boosts out. Okay, so he's going to continue to try to kite. The Lings and the Hydras are going to come down again. 26 more Lings are being made, and the fourth base is being positioned into 6 o'clock. So it's going to be Protoss staying even with the Zerg right now for bases.
These Stalkers getting some good damage done. Just shaving off handful of Lings by handful of Lings, even getting a couple of Hydra snipes here and there. And behind it, Maru taking that 6 o'clock base, as you pointed out, but also going into +2 ground weapons. Storm is very close to completion. I'm sure we have some Templar on the map that have already been energy recharged and are just accumulating more energy for Storms. Yep, 4 Templar in total already. And Shin, he's been posturing for this timing attack for quite a while now. He's been about static at 73 workers for, I want to say, the last few minutes. And so there's going to be a lot of momentum behind this push. You can even see on the minimap him trying to come in from several different angles with a ton of Banelings as well. But with the stasis traps, with the Storms, with the static defense, I think Maru might have enough tasteless. Let's see.
Okay, Storm's coming down now. He's going to try to come in here. The Banes are actually eating a lot of damage. They're not quite connecting with anything, but maybe it doesn't matter. There's so many Hydras coming down. 2 Archons are being morphed. I actually think that unless he gets a little bit more here, Shin probably can't push through. There's so many more Stalkers that have been warped in.
Yeah, but these Hydras are dishing out a ton of damage right now. We have a lot more units also streaming in across the map. No energy recharge available. I believe it is on cooldown. Last Templar gets taken out. These Stalkers really taking a beating right here. This third base Nexus is going to fall, and it seems like Shin just barely might have enough tasteless.
Yeah, he did it. He did it. I thought for a second Maru might hang on, but no, there was just enough more Hydras, a couple more Lings, 1 or 2 Banes thrown in there too. Just enough for Maru to take that beating. Again, though, I don't know if Maru should have been out on the map with that small army. It seems like he was doing some damage, but you're also trading some, I don't know, sustainability for your Stalkers. The hull damage was pretty bad.
I kind of liked it because he was being greedy on the back of that, right? Like, he's keeping tabs on exactly where Shin is at in terms of army. He's making sure that Shin is on his side of the map, and he's going into Storm, getting that fourth base set up. I feel like if I look back at that game, I think it was probably the control of the third base, defending against that push, that was the most concerning for me, because the Storms, they did not that much. Shin did a very good job of kind of staggering the waves of the attack. He didn't just move in with everything all at once in a big shove. And so the Storms, even though there were a ton of them, and the coverage in terms of area being covered was massive there for Maru, he didn't kill all that much. And even some of the Banelings were, I think, like 1 or 2 ticks away, Storm ticks away of damage from falling, but we're able to still take down photon cannons and get some more damage done on Stalkers. If a little bit more Storm was saved for that last round of Hydras to come in, maybe Maru defends, but...
Well, we're going to go to map 3 now. Shin ending that game the way he wanted game 1 to end, basically, with burst damage down on the exterior of the Protoss' base. Let's see what happens, man. It's been kind of crazy seeing Maru play Protoss. He played 2 very good games. Can he pull out a 2-1 victory here versus Shin, you know, one of the greatest Zerg players to ever touch the game?
Yeah, this is really fun. I'm a little bit sad because I really wanted to see Maru versus Shin and Shin rush some fast ultras in ZVT. Yeah. That was the match I was most looking forward to coming in here today, but Maru going 1-1 with Shin in a PvZ it's something special. And actually, look at this drone coming across map. Are we going to have a hatch block from Shin? Oh, is it going to be a proxy hatch? Look at this.
Oh, wait.
Huh.
Then why is he there?
Maybe the third hatch is going to be proxy? This is a very interesting opening.
Seems a little bit early.
Yeah.
To send it. Yeah, I wonder why he sent that one out there, because it's just patrolling out here. I think you're right, though. I think it is going to be a hatchery out here. I don't know. All right, I'm really...
So it's going to be a 3-hatch opening. The 3rd hatch is going to be at the natural expansion here of Protoss.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Don't see this very often.
Well, it's one of those things, like, you'd have to have a whole lot of Protoss knowledge to know. By the way, 5 probes is the right amount for this, right?
I don't know the exact number. Personally, I would pull a little bit more. Well, because this is enough. If you look at the health in the bottom right, it's basically going down at like 10 HP per second. And now there's 1 less probe, so it's static at 240. It does kind of work. I really don't know the math. I don't know what is perfect.
I thought the number
this
was 5, but I could have been wrong. I didn't factor in if the probe would go off and then make the core and then go back.
It's keeping the HP low, so when the Zealot is done, it will clean this up.
Yeah. Well, I wonder if Shin did this because this is such a nuanced situation that maybe Maru wouldn't know, like the precise way to handle this. But it seems like he did.
Yeah, 5 looks quite good, actually.
I don't know how you're going to recover from this. There's a reason why we don't see this all the time, right? It's because if Protoss handles it perfectly, the Zerg is not ahead, they're behind. And so I think Shin trying to throw a curveball in this game kind of shot himself in the foot.
Yeah, I give the edge to Maru now with really a pitch-perfect response to that opening.
Yeah.
Actually kind of making a mental note right now because this is one of the things that is a bane for me when I'm on the ladder. Is getting proxy hatched, and maybe that's because I pull like 7 probes. Maybe I need to do the Maru technique of just doing 5.
I mean, a lot of times when you proxy, especially if the player's not really experienced with it, everything just falls apart.
Yeah.
Like the wheels come off the bus at that point in time. So he's going to kill this drone here. And the question is going to be, I mean, does Shin just kind of play from behind? Does he try to get back into that burst damage that we've seen in the other games, which is, Hydras and Lings and Banes, and then trying to flatten these expansions? Or does he have any other kind of weird play? Because from here, I think this should be a pretty comfortable move into the mid game for Maru.
Yeah, Zealot and Adept also able to levy a little bit of pressure right here on the front. You can see Shin has to show this a little bit of respect. I believe he already has 6 Lings on the map, queuing up 10 more. And Maru, is he actually going to go home with this, or is he going to continue to push forward with these double Adepts and a Zealot? Oracle, first one, just now finished from the main base of Maru. Really has not missed a beat in terms of his build. Perfect response thus far to the hatch block at the natural expansion. And I love the way he's not overextending with this either. I believe he's going to go, and yeah, he in fact will, into the natural expansion right now. His speed is not yet done. And look at that. He gets 2 drones. He immediately recalls away after that. I think not even any hull damage being done. And now this is open because Shin's attention was focused on the natural expansion. 1 or 2 more drones falling here at the 3rd. Really nice play by Maru. Is he going to have enough at home to deal with this, though? The second Oracle just now finishing. I think these Lings might get a cancel.
Yeah, they should be able to get a cancel over here. They're going to take these 2 Adepts out. I guess it's probably better to go for these Adepts.
Yeah, but that gives Maru enough time.
I wondered if he should have right-clicked on that Nexus. Was that low enough?
It might have been.
Is it 5 probes? Is that the number?
I think it might have been, unless that second Adept comes in. Because the second Adept came in, I feel like the math is just not there for Shin.
Yeah,
Maru's army is going to be able to take those Lings down.
Have you done that where you like right-click on the building thinking like, oh no, I got this, and then you don't get it, and you're like, well, I'm really behind now. That's
I don't play Zerg, so it doesn't happen to me
I used to do that so
much
when I first started playing. My brother had to like be like, stop. Just it's never the choice to target down my hatchery. Stop doing that.
It's the worst when you're like in a PvP and you're trying to take them the pylon. It's like powering a proxy row, and it's like 1 stalker hit away from going down, and you're like, please just kill me now.
Well, we've got the Oracles orbiting back over towards the Protoss' side of the map. And, with the Forge, the Blink upgrade coming here, and we're waiting for the Zerg to get their layer. Should be a little bit of a slow moment here in this game.
Yeah, things are slowing down quite a bit, but for Maru, you really don't mind that at all. So far, the early game has been so good for you. Shin's economy is quite slow. Actually, yeah, I can cancel that one. It's always, I would almost write that off as just always being a cancel, but because it's Maru playing Protoss right here, I find myself questioning what the decision-making will be a little bit. But thus far, I think I've agreed with basically every move that he's done so far with these Adepts. The Shades have been immaculate the entire series.
So we've got that 4th base coming down now. And it is going to be the range upgrade. So this is and there's the Hydra Den. So this is looking like the kind of tech that we've already seen a lot of here from Shin. He's going to start to get a lot more Hydralisks out here. And we're still waiting right now for Maru to fill in the rest of his tech. So the Templar Archives is coming down here. Would not be shocked if we start to see that Starport tech later on, with Protoss going up to a 4th base.
Yeah, I think you're right.
By the way, this is another map I think Maru could do that slow cook play, you know, where he just kind of does the exhaust play and stays back and tries to trade as well as he can. And yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I wonder if he does go for that exhaust play, which I'm kind of expecting him to do, despite the fact he's throwing down 4 more gateways. I think this is mostly just a stability play from Protoss. I wonder what the expansion pattern is going to be, because my instinct tells me if you want to do that style here versus Shin, you don't go for this triangle expansion, you just kind of expand across the bottom side of the map. I think that architecture is a little bit better for late game PvZ, but I feel like most pro games that I watch also expand in that pattern. But again, with Maru playing Protoss here, you have to scratch your head a little bit in terms of what the decision-making is going to be, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. Storm about halfway done. More gateways coming down here. And, excuse me, we're going to see Zerg always ahead of supply versus the Protoss here. But once we got enough Hydras, we're going to see him probably switch into those Banes and try to look for damage here.
Maybe, but we do have the Infestation Pit nearing completion.
Oh, never mind, actually.
Right now,
yeah,
so I'm a little... And Roach is also in production. Huh.
Interesting.
All right, so Maru going to be expanding to that triangle base here for the 4th. He has a considerable number of Stalkers, and the Hive is starting up right now here for Shin.
Yeah, I guess I was wrong. I thought we were going to see kind of a lock-in for mid-game here.
And a Void Ray in 2nd Stargate coming in from Maru. What on earth?
Why would he get the Void Ray now?
I don't know. Fleet Beacon as well? The Void Ray is a very interesting choice.
The Fleet Beacon's not shocking, but yeah, the Void Ray leaves me with more questions than answers.
If we go like really, really meta on this, I wonder if something that he's scouted has given him the tell that there might be, say, like a Hydralisk drop coming in with this push, and he wants the Orbital to kind of patrol in a location like the dead airspace above the Nexus. This might be a little bit too abstract. I'm kind of reaching a little bit here, but I'm trying to find a use case for the Void Ray.
I'm kind of grasping at straws as well, trying to figure this out. I guess this wouldn't be a terrible map to drop. You have this big open area by the main.
And Shin did it there in game number 1. Shin now 75 drones, continuing to ramp up the pressure. Even Roach is getting added into the mix right now, 5 in total. As this is more of a big shove here going into the 4th base. We don't have Storm just yet, at least. Oh, do we actually? 5 Templar, I believe it actually is going to be done. So far, no Storms have dropped. First Storm is going to be pretty good. Able to shoo away the majority here of the army for Shin. Not a lot of damage being done, but positionally, I loved it. And that blink forward, man, that's an ambitious blink, but with the Storms to back it up, that was absolutely the right decision. And now there's a decision being made by Maru. You have 2 not 2 Fleet Beacons, 2 Stargates with the Fleet Beacon. You just take a very favorable trade. Do you try and amp up the pressure, or do you go back home, play it safe, and just take that as a win? Looks like it's just going to be Tempest plus 1 air weapon, so a bit more passive here for Maru, and honestly, I like that.
Yeah, I mean, it worked for him last time, right? Just let Shin overextend, let him feed into you. Nice catch here on these few Adepts that were coming up. And he's got the Lurkers up here, just above the screenshot. It looks like he's trying to jockey for a position where he might be able to come in and pounce on one of these bases. He's going to try to tear these rocks down.
Yeah, but with his Stalker count this high right now for Maru, I mean, he played this so safely, and he's being rewarded for it because Shin, it's kind of like he's banging his head against a wall right now. Especially with all the static defense. Those Lurkers, Seismic Spine's about to complete. That's going to allow him to take down the static defense a lot faster as you see those pylons starting to fall. They're able to get in. The Warp in, not in the perfect position. How much in the main base is there to defend as the Templar are very low on HP? Oh, that last shot from the Lurker getting 2 more Templar taken down. This is a lot of damage, Tasteless.
We're seeing a lot of worker kills over here, and things are getting very shaky down here at 6 o'clock over at this base. The Nexus is getting lower and lower and lower. And a lot of these probes haven't been evacuated. So we've already had 10 probe kills over here. It's possible that if the Lurker spikes just get a little bit deeper in here, they could start to take out everything over at this bottom base.
Yeah, those Lurkers just barely in range of that Nexus, and Maru reset down to 3 bases. Tempest, they are the answer here to the Lurkers, but with so much more on the ground here for Shin, it's really hard for Maru to protect them enough to get in range. I like that blink forward, just isolating a couple of Hydras. You got to take every possible trade as favorably as you can here for Maru is Counterpunch, again, the blinks. These are really well-placed blinks. He's blinking aggressively, but they aren't risky aggressive maneuvers. He's doing it when he has enough information, he knows it's going to be safe, and he's consistently sniping down, say, 2-3 Hydras at a time. Really nice moves. Of course, Maru, I would say, in a pretty strong deficit after losing that third expansion, but this is a game that I could easily see Protoss players having already lost. But the control was just so good there by Maru.
But right now, we have Shin making a Spire, and so I think the game plan is he's going to max out, he's going to throw everything into the Protoss, and he's going to switch into Corruptors. So he's going to try to flatten as much of the expansions, the Stalkers, everything that's on the ground, right? And then there's probably going to be, like we see a Mothership making, maybe there'll be, a carrier or two or a Tempest or something there. And so I guess if there's no carriers, right, then he doesn't need to go for that. But he's basically setting this up so that he can remax out after the fight finishes with whatever he needs to probably try to close the game out in. So in this case, we've got 3 Tempests. So yeah, we might just see Corruptors come into play here and dive on them.
Yeah, we just had double Robo finish up for Maru, and he's queuing Immortals. This is not usually a response that you see to the kind of composition that Shin is running.
Yeah.
It's kind of a novel take. I feel like I've done this in games in the past. It doesn't usually go that well for me. I think you really want to lean heavily into the Stargate units in these kind of situations, PvZ, but no, maybe Maru's been able to find some kind of answer with this style, and perhaps some of that comes down to just being more aggressive with the gateway units. We see him posturing in the center of the map with the Stalkers, the Zealots also there on the top left side. We're looking to get some damage done, but with Shin once again just barreling down on this expansion at 6 o'clock. This is not an easy position to attack into, even with Immortals.
I love that. I mean, he didn't even trade anything for that. He just came in, picked it off, and then ran back out. And, when you have like a Mothership and Tempest, I mean, it's a very slow-moving unit comp. So it's the same predicament you see a lot of players when they go for Broodlords in. It's like you can just play keep away. And like, okay, you're going to attack me, I'm going to counterattack. And my counterattack will be faster, it'll kill off more of your base than your Broodlords can do to me. And then a lot of times you'll find that, the Tempest army, as an example, is just in a position where it can get surrounded and Hydras can run under it. Maru has some ideas of counterattacks here with these Zealots and trying to find openings, but right now, Shin is buttoned up pretty tight.
Shin is adding in some Corruptors right now. I wonder if there's the potential for a big fight to happen between Shin and Maru, and Shin to potentially overmake Corruptors, because up until this point, Maru's been pivoting onto the ground quite heavily. He is restarting Tempest production now, so starting to balance out his composition a little bit, but wait, did he just cancel 2 more Tempests? He did. So he is just continuing to build up mostly the ground army, and perhaps Maru, because he took such a beating earlier, is trying to play a little bit of a mind game here versus Shin, and hope that Shin preempts a Skytoss composition and then just overpower him on the ground. Because I'm thinking about it, and I believe that's the most logical conclusion I can come in here from Maru, but unfortunately for Maru, Shin has just been maxed for so long that he hasn't had the supply to really build a lot of Corruptors, and this ground army here for Zerg is looking mighty fine against what Maru's got.
He's leapfrogging some of the Lurkers here. He's just trying to get some of these into range. The Corruptors are here. He's moving in these pairs. He's going to have range over that now. He's baited out a decent amount of Storms, and there's no real way to stop some of the damage that's coming down on the Nexus. Now, it's not a ton of damage, which is going to give Maru a little bit of time here. Again, the Tempests have the greatest strength in this position in that they can just fire these shots out over and over and deal damage. The problem is they don't deal damage quickly. And so there's a chance that the Lurker damage and the Hydra damage just becomes too much. We see the Corruptors come in again. They actually take out 1 Tempest here. And this Nexus is going to fall again, State. This is going to be, once more, a 3-base Protoss.
Yeah, but I actually like the way this has been going for Maru quite a bit. I did not have on my radar that Shin made so many Corruptors. He actually made 16. Maru has completely cut Skytoss production for a long time, and he just killed basically all of the Hydras. He has so many Immortals on the map right now. Maru is nearly a maxed Protoss with 62 probes and a mostly ground army. If he can isolate these Lurkers, there's a real chance that Maru's gonna be able to take this one. There's no Overseer in sight. Okay, finally now it's able to come in, but the Lurkers, the Arc of Immortals was perfect there. Yes, the Corruptors are going to be an answer for the air, but Maru's ground army is so strong.
Yeah, I mean, he can keep this ground army rolling forward. The Corruptors are basically useless. He's going to come here. He's going to try to hit this base. A huge amount of Zealots are warped in. The Corruptors, the one thing they could have done would have been to snipe that Warp Prism. They were elsewhere. And so we're going to have another huge push in. Is this going to be a fatal blow? This is so insane.
This is such an incredible mind game from Maru. Going for the pivot and the double robo. You never see Protoss players do this, and that's why Shin was kind of preempting everything with 16 Corruptors. And Maru, he was down for the count just a couple of minutes ago, but after a really favorable trade, the pressure is back on Shin. And keep in mind, even with the army supplies right now, Maru is ahead, but we still have 3 Corruptors on the map. So many units have been basically wasted in terms of value. 10k resource advantage right now for Maru in units lost. And this composition that he's running is looking so good. The lurker count has been reset. The Hydra count has been reset. We are up to maybe 2 or 3 dozen Hydras now in total, but that's the bulk of Shin's army, and Maru now has supremacy on the ground. He can pivot back into air, he can start re-expanding if he wants to. The 6 o'clock base has been resaturated, and he's gonna go for another attack here in the top left.
Yeah, I don't know if he can get in here. You know, it's hard when you have that, just this wall of lurkers to try to come through and do any damage. Looks like the gold base is gonna be safe for now. And as we see, you know, Maru loop back around to this side, Shin is there to meet him immediately.
Yeah, Shin just with barely enough economy, he has been able to get the lurker count to something very healthy again, and lurkers, they kind of are the quote-unquote answer to ground Protoss armies. It's why you basically always see late-game PvZ being very sky toss based, because otherwise, high-tech lurkers, they pack such a punch, they have such good range, they're also very mobile. Once the creep spread gets halfway across the map, it's very easy for Zerg to try and pick apart different locations. Sky toss is able to kind of go tit for tat with that. Immortals, not quite as mobile, and of course, if you try to attack into an entrenched position, as we saw there in the top left, you just have no hope. You need to catch the Zerg effectively out of position, and the fact that Maru is now maxed on this ground army, yes, it does pack a punch, but he won't really have the opportunity to transition back into air, and with a greater Spire now coming in, I mean, Lurker Broodlord might work magic against this composition with no supply available for Tempest.
Yeah, it's funny because there's this level of genius with the Immortal switch, but then it's like, okay, well, did you end the game? No? All right, well then, you know, now you don't have any kind of, you know, an anti-air to deal with this. You know, and Broodlords, you know, they don't have to respect, certainly of all things Immortals, right? But Archons are quite bad against them. They can get surrounded and they can't move.
Yeah, that's true, but let's not forget where this game was 5 or 6 minutes ago. Maru was basically dead. This tech switch is what brought him back to basically equal footing. You know, he's re-expanding, he's taking, what, 2 more Nexus right now in the bottom right? And I would say in terms of army composition, Shin right now does have him beat, although this is a very nice angle of attack here for Maru. So many Immortals. How many Immortals do we have on the field right now? My goodness, I want to say this is like 12 plus.
Okay, he's going to try to push through here now. And honestly, really great storms. He shoves the lurkers back. This base is 1,000% going down. But here come those Broodlords.
I mean, so many lurkers went down when he attacked into the gold base. Yeah, this is a ridiculous number of Immortals. I feel like I'm almost watching a mono battle right now. It's like half of the value of Maru's army is in Immortals. And when you have somebody of Maru's skill, who clearly has been playing a lot of Protoss off-race, this is a very novel idea that he's playing with right now. You very rarely see any kind of tech switch remotely close to this at the high level. It's really catching Shin off guard. Okay, big burst forward coming in from those Hydras, trying to find an angle. I don't think very many Immortals going down, but the Archons are going to take some damage. Broodlords shooing away this army. And for Maru, I think you actually don't mind too much losing some of this ground army, because I believe you would love to remax on some more Tempest, but forget that. The Stalker's looking forward, able to pick off at least one of those Broods.
Okay, he's going to go for a recall with some of this. Get at least the mothership out of there, backing up.
Yeah, down into the bottom right to secure that double expansion. He is retreating now. 14 Stalkers in total, 9 more warping in. Shin has to be very careful, because if Maru's kind of like the Zerg in this situation. When you're Lurker Broodlord, you're like the Death Bally player.
Right.
And Maru with this just pure ground army, essentially, especially with all these Stalkers, he wants to find the surround on the Broods, especially with Lurkers. You want to mitigate that splash damage as best you possibly can. And now it's actually Shin getting caught out of position. Maru's going to be shimming his way on into this triangle expansion. 2 gases there. Maru deciding to pull back. Storm quite good, getting a lot of damage done on those Corruptors.
Okay, the push is going to come in here now. Can he actually get under these Broods? He blinks in. Looks like he sniped at least one. I can't tell how many Stalkers are actually underneath that. But there's still 4 more Broods. One is really low on HP. Another blink would maybe do the trick. He's going to warp in more Stalkers. Shin, whoa!
Warp Prism gets taken down there. That Stalker, if that Stalker group had been able to fully warp in,
I think the game would have ended.
It's very close, yeah. Instead, I think it was still a very favorable trade there for Maru. Look at the banks as well, with his gold base now coming online, with a bottom right expansion coming online. Well, the saturation is so solid.
He still might be able to win this, actually.
Yeah.
I mean, he just warps in another wave of Stalkers. We have 20 more Lings, 3 more Hydras coming up here. The thing is, the Stalkers need to get into a position where they can actually blink under the Broods and actually kill them.
I would love to see a big Zealot warp in from Maru right now and just go for these Altaria bases like the one in the top left, because Shin just doesn't have mobility right now on his side. Nice catch by Shin, taking down that Nexus. Zealots were warped in, but it seems like they're mostly bolstering the main army right here. I still feel like, even though the Broodlord count is high, Maru can probably take this fight. Those Lings are not going to last very long against the Zealots. Is just going to get that engagement. Storm also is going to do so much damage against basically a glass cannon army supporting those Broods. It's Hydra Ling.
So the counterattack's coming in here. You know, this base probably the hardest to hold on the map, especially versus Broodlords here. You can basically stay back. The Stalkers blink forward, but the Broodlords just shimmy back. The Nexus is going to fall here. Keep in mind, there's plenty of bases that Shin's taking here in the top left. He's farming all those resources. And now we're going to see Maru loop around. He's going to come up here from the side. Maru's also, by the way, kind of out of viable bases to take. There's creep at the center left base. I mean, the gold base, we know he could attack in there and probably deny that again. I mean, both sides have to deal with that on that map. And then the center right, I just don't think Protoss can actually expand into.
Yeah, if Maru wants to take those bases, such as the gold base and the center right, you need to have a lot more presence on the map. And it looks like he's starting to get there. These Zealots buying him a lot of space, honestly. Shin sequestered so many forces into that top left side, and now this base, even though it's mostly mined out, you really don't want to be losing this right now as Shin. 20 drones have fallen. 1 hatchery does get taken out. Shin looking for a counterattack with his big group of Zerglings. Maru, I think he's going to have to recall to try and deal with this. He doesn't have a pylon or the supply to really warp in, but look at how quickly those pros fall. The Storms are good, able to kill the majority of these Lings, but both players really hurting for income right now.
Yeah, it's getting pretty dicey here for both sides. To think that Maru could have maybe just ended the game had he gotten those few Stalkers warped in before the Warp Prism fell. Maru's going to wind up here for another attack, and Shin is still pretty vulnerable right now. Like, he doesn't quite have an army that can fight this, and it looks like another small little force is going to move up to the top left. Now, again, Broodlords, they can't, they're the slowest thing in the game, basically. You know, they can't be in multiple locations at once, and you can always outposition them, and that's sort of what Maru's doing here. He's going to take out that Roach Warren. It does feel like the Broodlords have just sort of committed into protecting his gold base, and so I thought for a second Maru might try to go up into the main, which seems kind of insane.
Yeah.
But, you know, Shin is limping economically through this game right now.
I think he would have if recall was closer to being off cooldown. Instead, it's only halfway done.
Yeah.
But yeah, Shin, he knows that in an open field, or if Maru is able to get a surround, his army loses in a straight-up fight. Like, guaranteed he's going to lose against the army that Maru has. The one condition where he wins the fight is if he's able to do it somehow in a choke point, or you really just want to compound the splash damage of these lurkers and also just have everything under the Broods to keep them alive. You don't want an open field battle, and so he kind of anchored the gold base, and Maru's been able to use that decision to basically get damage on the top left. He killed that Nexus, or that hatchery. He was able to get a lot of the drones. These Storms even doing a lot of work on the Broods. And Maru's just had complete map control for the last couple of minutes because Shin just recognizes that he needs to just hold down the fort at one place. But as a result, so much economic damage has been done to Zerg that Maru is maxed. He's 30, 40 supply ahead of his opponent, and his income is better, and he's going to have more bases. I'm not really seeing a win condition for Shin anymore unless Maru makes a big misstep.
Yeah, I mean, Shin's in a really, really tricky spot. We've seen this before historically in StarCraft 2. Sometimes you tech into Broods, and then you're kind of stuck there. And, you know, they don't have to try to... You know, it's funny, like, Corruptors, okay, that can be annoying when you have a bunch of Corruptors and you have no use for them, right? But you can kind of, like, kamikaze them into a base. Oh, this is novel. This looks like a StarCraft 1 game right now with 2 Zealots at the ramp here to block, and gonna go for this. But yeah, a lot of times with Corruptors, no, kill it. Okay, there, my OCD. All right, I was like, I'm not gonna be okay if that building's not killed. But yeah, you know, you could at least send them somewhere and try to ooze down buildings and trade them out. Like with Broodlords, you know, they can just kind of avoid them, and you can just keep counterattacking, and you're not really getting that much. And he actually comes in here and gets underneath this one. Oh,
I like that decision. Hey, you have the better economy. Why not blink in Stalkers and just trade them for 2 Broods? A lot of novel ideas here at play for Maru. You don't see a PBZ like this from basically anybody else. And it's been working, man. I am so impressed. I want to see more Maru Protoss now.
I mean, this has been so fun to see his Protoss like this. Now, this is where Shin's going to have that Hail Mary play. He needs to shut down these bases. The only viable bases are on the bottom right side of the map right now.
All right, another attack coming in. Storm's doing a very good job of kind of ushering away the Hydra Ling. But Shin has been able to find himself in a position on the map where this is where he's able to leverage the advantage of his army. He still only has those 4 Broods, but with these Lurkers in an arc, oh no, there's Tempest back out Tasteless. That puts a timer on this whole thing. Shin moves forward with the Hydras, trying to kind of get these Tempest out of position. But, oh, the storm damage is so big. The Archons as well.
I mean, Shin did take that bottom right base out.
Yeah,
that was, you know, about half the probes in the game. That's it.
The armies.
It's too late. Yeah.
Wow. Maru takes down Shin 2-1 with his Protoss Tasteless.
That's crazy. I bet Shin is so salty. You know, you lose somebody's off race, you're so mad.
I would have so much fun browsing Reddit later tonight. I could just see the threads. Oh my word.
That was a great PVC.
Yeah, that was.
I was actually kind of lowering the audience expectation there when we started, where I said, okay, we thought it was going to be hype before, and it kind of wasn't. That was a great PVZ. That's insane that he can play that well. And by the way, make a really complex, difficult decision to make to kind of just step out of Stargate play altogether and just get a ton of Immortals. We don't really see that.
That was a full mind game. That won him the match, in my opinion. He was basically dead to rights, and Shin was expecting him to continue up the natural path of tech as Protoss, where you're going to be relying on the carriers, on the Tempest. It was a very fast 2 Stargate fleet beacon play with a 4th base from Maru. Instead, he pivots into double Robo Immortal, and when the first major engagement happened, when those armies had maxed out, Shin had 16 Corruptors to fight basically nothing.
Yeah.
And Maru just with a beautiful mind game. I feel like I've basically never seen a switch like that, or if I have, it's been years ago, at top level PVZ.
Yeah.
And it worked magically. Like, Maru was dead. That was just beautiful stuff.
Guys, we are going to have the offline finals. Hear the fans cheering? Yes!
Man.
You will be able to come down and watch our offline finals. We'll be selling tickets for that. We don't have the exact dates yet. I got to go down next week and look at one of the venues we're looking at. We're shopping around, guys. 15 million won prize pool. That's not for this season, by the way, and it's not for season 3. This is our own. This is a whole separate thing. So, season 3 is going to be either the month after this, or what is it? The month? Huh? November, thank you. Sorry, season 3 is going to be in November. Sorry, guys, I only run this tournament. It's going to be in November, and then in December we're going to have that. So that's really exciting. 15 million won in prizes for that. So yeah, consider supporting us on the Patreon. We are super excited to have this big offline event coming up. We're going to go to a short break. We come back. We're going to continue on here with Group D in day 1 of the RSL.
Welcome back, everybody, to day one of the RSL Season 2. I am State. Joined with me is Steve. Good to have you, man. How you feeling?
Oh, dude, I'm feeling great, especially after that first series of the day. What an absolute banger to start things off. Maru coming out with the Protoss, some kind of new ideas. Mass Immortals, pretty good, apparently. What an exciting game. So happy to be here. Good stuff.
Maru versus Shin was a really fun match to kick things off. We're getting ready to go into MaxPax versus Mana for the next match. Going to be a PvP. My first time ever casting MaxPax, which I'm really excited about, but we're looking at the group stages here for a moment. We are actually starting with Group D today just because of scheduling issues with the players, and so things might feel a little bit jumbled up, but rest assured, if you're watching, this is day number 1. If you're on YouTube, you didn't do anything wrong. This is Group D. Maru already in that winner's match, Shin falling to the loser's match, and just one funny little clip that occurred is we were just informed by production when we were doing we had these sound bites on a soundboard of like a crowd cheering and stuff like that for when we announced the offline finals, and we just learned that only we could hear it. It's not going on the stream. So like Taze is making this joke and like we're expecting this big cheer, and then for the Twitch it's just like dead air.
Absolute crickets in the background.
Oh my god, it's so funny.
I think they should leave it like that for the rest of the tournament. Just have Tasteless big it up to no one.
We'll
and the crowd goes wild. It's so funny, man.
Anyway, fellas, we are loading up into game number 1 between MaxPax and Mana. MaxPax, the blue Protoss, spawning in the bottom left here on ley lines. Mana, the red Protoss in the top right. Let's get to it.
Absolutely excited to get into game number 1 here. Whoever wins this will go on to meet Maru in that winner's match, as you said, and the loser will go down to meet Shin. So everything to play for. We got 2 of Europe's finest Protosses here in Mana and MaxPax. Probably would say MaxPax is maybe slightly favored, but Mana has actually beaten him recently in August, so this could definitely go either way. And like you say, is ley lines as the first map, a very kind of standard map here in the current map pool. So I'm curious to see what these players are going to be bringing out here.
Yeah, I'm really excited for this PvP, and I actually didn't know that Mana was taking series off of MaxPax that recently. I know that MaxPax about a year or 2 ago, and for a really long period of time, was basically the guy to beat in PvP. He was the master of this matchup. He had a very fast low ground expansion play that he loved to go for, which it took, I feel like, the rest of the Protoss players in the pro scene so long to figure out. Eventually, he started to shy away from it a little bit. I think now it's typically 1-gate expansion is the play here from MaxPax, but yeah, this is going to be a really fun match. We do have that 1-gate coming in here for MaxPax on the high ground. Mana going for a much more standard 2-gate opening.
Absolutely, yeah. The evolution of MaxPax has been really interesting over the years. He started off as such an aggressive player. You know, he would go for these super hyper-aggressive strategies, but he's evolved into a more kind of macro Protoss who can kind of play everything. And we do see this pylon going down in the middle of the map for Mana, so we'll see what he'll be going for there. It is a 2-gate versus a 1-gate, as you said. Both players going to be making their tech of choice soon. There is that kind of rock, scissor, paper thing going on in PvP. Some builds line up slightly, some tech lines up slightly better against the others. So we do see the Stargate going down for MaxPax. On the other hand, Mana here going for 2 Stalkers already, and this probe is putting down a Robo in the middle of the map.
Yeah, Robo. I think it's typically the tech of choice when you go for a play like this one. And ooh, MaxPax actually spotting that probe. This might tip him off to exactly where that proxy is. And in fact, the probe does confirm the scout here. And wow, MaxPax, look at this. He's actually pulling the Zealot all the way back. Adept is going to be the follow-up unit here for MaxPax as the Stargate is nearing completion. I feel like a lesser player such as myself would have just sent that Zealot in the probe and try and take down the pylon. But MaxPax certainly knows better. Instead, he's going back at home to play it safe.
Yeah, he's playing very safe here. This probe does actually get in the main base and see the Stargate. The Oracle is coming out. It's being chronoed, so he gets that information. That's nice for him. Maybe lets him make kind of specific adjustments to this aggression he's going for. The Stalkers are going to move up here into the natural, see what they can get done. Some units here on the high ground for MaxPax. He doesn't want to lose them, so he's going to... Oh, okay. Throws that down that pylon just in time to stop that Adept going in there. And yeah, we've got units moving all around here. This Adept kind of in no man's land. Will it go down to these Stalkers? Looks like it just will. Okay, nice pickoff.
Yeah, Starker gets taken out. This Oracle is going to be roaming across the map right now, checking on this robotics facility and then probably finding its way towards that main base. We do have a shield battery and 2 Stalkers here in the main of Mana, so he should be able to parry this Oracle harassment quite easily. And behind this, MaxPax going for that expansion there, the natural expansion, adding in an additional gateway. The Oracle not really able to get too much done. And now the pressure is going to start mounting here because Mana, he went for the Warp Prism. That is usually the unit of choice here. It's not the Immortal because of the Stargate play. You don't really want to go investing into Immortals versus a Void Ray. You want to have a high number of Stalkers. And with this Warp Prism, there is a lot of micro potential available here, Sturgeon.
Absolutely. I mean, Mana has no expansion behind this, so he is rather committed here. He's got a bunch of Stalkers on the doorstep of MaxPax, and like you say, he can juggle these Stalkers, he can ferry them onto the high ground, doesn't have Blink obviously, but can still get in that main base. The Oracle is shoot away, so good defense by Mana on the back of this. And we do see a couple Sentry and a Stalker coming here, and this is when the aggression is going to start. He's moving into the natural here, going to try and pick off some Stalkers. They're being healed by the shield batteries. Can he get this Void Ray? He's targeting it down, but it's pulled back nicely. So far, solid defense by MaxPax, and the Stalkers start to fall.
Wow, that was a really good defense there by MaxPax. He wasn't quite able to get the Warp Prism. Nice micro by Mana, but I feel like this push just came in maybe a little bit too late. 3 Stalkers and a Sentry lost. No units lost for MaxPax. He lost that Adept at the very start of the game, but in terms of defense, the shield batteries were able to get more than enough done. 2 more shield batteries in production as well. The 3rd Void Ray is going to be finishing soon. Mana has no expansion behind this. He is completely all in. Unless he's able to break with his next push, I feel like it's basically just game over.
Absolutely. He's going to add more and more Void Rays, more shield batteries, you know, continue to bolster his defenses here. And Mana is on a timer, right? He's got to make it work right now, but he just can't get any damage done. This is insane. The Warp Prism already down in red HP. Does have the shields back now. He's going to keep warping in units, but I think he's got maybe 1 or 2 more tries here. If he can't break MaxPax, it might just be game.
Yeah, oftentimes when it comes to these Stalker pushes, it's really the first wave where you need to get the momentum going, and if you get parried, it is so hard to follow up because the economy for MaxPax, 9 probes at this stage in the game on an additional mineral line, that is just
huge.
A gigantic difference. And with 4 Void Rays now, the DPS is so high. There's so many bodies on the ground as well. This 1 Sentry, should there be another energy recharge, going to have a lot of force fields available. Mana, his win condition is to try and 1-shot or 2-shot these Void Rays, but he's just not getting there.
Absolutely. The control from MaxPax here is so good. He's pushing out. Oh, the Stasis Ward does go down. Okay, good pull on the probes. Only 1 gets caught. That's a perfect response there. And he's pulling back all these Void Rays in time. He's hardly losing anything. And then the shield batteries bring them back to full shields. Okay, the push is going to come in here again, trying to ferry these Stalkers in and out of the Warp Prism to take less damage, but there's so much from MaxPax. Mana is forced to GG in this game number 1 here.
Wow, just textbook defense there from MaxPax in game number 1. I love the idea there from Mana, but that push is so hard to make work. There's a reason why MaxPax, although he is very predictable in PvP and has been for a long time, he's also arguably one of the hardest players, if not the hardest player to beat in this matchup, because he knows the ins and outs of the build order, of the varied responses that you have to go for, of exactly how to micro as well. His SimCity was fantastic.
Right.
Positioning was fantastic. And when Mana moved in with that initial push, the fact that he wasn't able to get significant hull damage done on the Void Rays, wasn't able to get a snipe or anything like that.
Right.
I feel like the game was basically already over from that position.
Yeah, when you dive in for that Void Ray, like with the first push, you've got to make it count, right? Like, you don't get to do that too many times for free. If you don't pick something off and you lose a Stalker or 2, the next wave just gets harder. It just gets harder and harder and harder to actually get any damage done. And MaxPax's defense was absolutely, basically perfect, to be honest. I do kind of like Mana throwing out something aggressive in game 1. Maybe it's going to keep MaxPax on his toes for the rest of the series, you know, not cut any corners or anything like that. But MaxPax is obviously 1 up now, so he is in the lead.
Yeah, looking really good for MaxPax. And I feel like MaxPax plays so many of these online tournaments, I can't possibly watch all of them, but I feel like in most of the PvPs where I see him get taken down, it's typically people getting very aggressive, because not only is MaxPax good at the early game, but this is a very greedy build that he's going for, the 1-gate Stargate into an expansion. And he's also very good at the mid game, the late game. He's just a well-rounded PvP player. It's just that it turns out because everybody attacks him, we basically only see his early game defense, right? So Time will tell if Mana is going to go back into the well for another aggressive push here in game number 2, as he is spawning as the red Protoss down here in the bottom right of Maganatha. MaxPax, the blue Protoss here in the top left.
Absolutely. The map is going to be Maganatha here, the ladder edition. And yeah, like you said, MaxPax, he's just going to let Mana come to him if that's what he wants to do, if he wants to be aggressive. He's very comfortable holding these pushes. I would kind of like to see him do something different, but if you're him, like, you don't need to, right? Like, why would you if you don't need to? He knows that he's potentially the stronger player if it does go to a macro game, so he's happy to play defense. And we'll see what Mana wants to do here. Right now, just the one gate coming down for both players. We do have a probe in the middle of the map for MaxPax. Nothing for Mana just yet. This probe is going to leave the base a little bit later here. So just slightly different timings, but similar gas timings here. Nothing too crazy in the early game right now. Okay, we do see the second gate. Okay. A bit of a late good luck, have fun here.
Yeah.
We see the second gate again going down for Mana, so it could be some more potential aggression. Just the one gate on the side of MaxPax right now.
The 110 GLHF.
That's kind of
very
crazy,
interesting timing attack right there by MaxPax.
That's like when you six ball, you say good luck, have fun as the Lings run in. Like, it's like that kind of makes you think, is something going on here? Like,
I remember, I think it was an MLG, I want to say, a very long time ago. I believe I was watching Stefano play. And if you guys remember Stefano from like 10 plus years ago, whenever he would always type a pretty long-winded GLHF message at the very beginning of the game.
Right.
He would like say the opponent's name and everything like that. And he would copy and paste it. And I was always wondering, like, is he trying to bait the opponent into typing at a critical moment?
right, it does take your focus,
like, it's
right?
The most
you have to read
thing
it
in the world, but like
you can't
he has
not
that
read
thing.
it.
It's locked and loaded, man. He's got Control-C, Control-V. That message is out there. But,
genius.
Yeah. In any case, we actually have Mana going for another proxy robo. This time it's going to be all the way at the 1 o'clock expansion here. Top right side of the map, and I'm expecting this to basically be the same kind of push from Mana. I don't think against a player like MaxPax you're basically ever going to be going for the Immortal, and maybe I will eat my words on that one, but yeah, this robo, the Warp Prism is necessary to try and make these kind of big stalker pushes work.
Absolutely. We basically have almost identical builds here coming down in game 2. Hopefully Mana is able to get the aggression going a bit more, make this a bit more of a fight. He is not expanding behind this, obviously. He's proxy roboing, so he's going to be the aggressor here. The little probe dance going down at this third base. Not exactly sure what's happening. And I don't believe MaxPax has seen it just yet, right? He didn't send anything down. That's quite an obscure location. The first two Stalkers come in now, though, so he's going to know that the aggression is happening. He did still send that Adept over and didn't lose it this time, which is nice. Okay, some good kiting here by these Stalkers. Take that Zealot down to low HP. And he's just going to back off for a moment. We do have the Warp Prism in production, as you said, no Immortal. And will he get the Adept out this time? Nope, just goes down again.
Yeah, Oracle also gets intercepted in the middle of the map, but no hull damage being done. Is MaxPax, exact same opening here. That Nexus nearing completion. First Void Ray about to be done. Oracle going to be going into the main. And for Mana, basically the same response. Notably, there is no shield battery here in the main base this time, so there's a little bit more minerals for Mana to play with on the aggressive side of things. But as a result, that's 2 probes getting taken down relatively quickly here.
Absolutely. When you're on one base, every single probe matters. It's a big % of your income. And there are 2 shield batteries going down in the natural for MaxPax, which are going to be crucial to this defense. They're just going to finish before the Stalkers come in. Perfect timing on this. The Stalkers come in, they're going to dive. Okay, good pick up there. Doesn't take too much damage. And Mana's going to try and just pick off whatever he can here, okay? Actually getting a bit more damage than last time, but still not able to get on that Void Ray, which is kind of what you need at some point.
He was able to drain the energy on those shield batteries just a little bit with those volleys. No hull damage being done just yet. No, I love this shield battery aggressively here on the front line. Of course, because there is no Nexus, it's going to have less energy, but still, anything you can have. Usually when these pushes try to commence, it's going to be a long, protracted battle where you're just slowly chipping away the energy on those shield batteries. Now a big dive coming and actually going for the Stalker is Mana. No losses just yet on either side. A lot of damage being traded. Warp Prism Micro, fantastic so far by Mana with the hot pickups. It feels like if there is a possibility for him to break him, it's going to be here in game number 2. This is looking not too bad.
Absolutely, really good micro here from Mana in this second game, and not making the shield battery in the main, like you said. Lets him make it at the front, which gives a bit of healing, and he's going to dive in. He picks off a Stalker. More units going down. The hot pickups here. He's saving so many Stalkers on red HP here. The micro is fantastic. He's diving again. He gets the Void Ray this time. This is looking so good for Mana compared to game 1.
Oh, that War Prism a little bit slow getting out, but is able to survive with its full HP completely intact. And with one more Warpin of Stalkers coming in right now.
17 Stalkers stay.
Yeah,
This
man.
is so many Stalkers here. Is MaxPax going to be able to hold?
I mean, the one-shot potential is huge. That's why we see MaxPax really, relying so heavily on the force fields. He's trying to buy just a little bit more time. Second Void Ray is able to join the mix right now. A couple more units being warped in. These shield batteries, though, they're low on energy. So is the Sentry. As probes are getting pulled, Mana, he is cutting back to his own shield battery here. Resources lost 1,000 in favor of Mana, and this Nexus, it's already a half HP. The mining is basically non-existent here at this expansion. One of Mana's Stalkers is going to get taken down, but momentum is growing right now for our Red Protoss.
Yeah, MaxPax in so much trouble here. So many Stalkers on the field. He does manage to push them back 4 now, but there's still that shield battery there, going to heal them up a bit. 7 probes actually going down because he pulled them. So MaxPax's economy is only slightly ahead, actually, even though he has this second base. But that Nexus is low HP. Mana smells blood in the water. He picks off the Immortal. Beautiful pickups here on the Stalkers. His micro has been so good this game. And this is looking like it could be critical damage here. That shield battery just saves the Sentry. And he's going to get through. The force field goes away. And Mana is going to do it, guys. Takes the game number 2. 1-1 in this series.
Yeah, man, these have been some action-packed game number 1 and game number 2 here between MaxPax and Mana. As you see why he goes for this response versus MaxPax. It didn't really pan out in game number 1, but I feel like on Maganatha, the architecture of the natural expansion is definitely more favorable to the Stalkers. You saw that Mana had a lot of room to play with right in front of that Nexus, and it's also very easy to start shelling that mineral line a little bit. The probes, even before they were getting pulled, the mining was quite mitigated there for MaxPax, and beyond that, the control for Mana, I felt like was much more impressive here in game 2.
Oh, dude, the micro was so good. He saved so many Stalkers. I didn't see one Stalker go down that could have been saved. Every Stalker that he could save, he did. But for me, the 2 key differences in that game were, 1, the proxy wasn't spotted right away. And 2, like you mentioned, he didn't make the shield battery in the main, so he was able to make it at the front. And that gave him a bit more kind of, staying power with the push, able to regen those shields on the Stalkers. And yeah, in the end, he's able to overwhelm MaxPax in that game.
Yeah, and I think reaching that critical mass of Stalkers is so important when you're able to save them, especially in the very first initial stages of the Stalker push, because you're trying to just get the bodies on the ground where you can start one-shotting Stalkers and then start one-shotting Void Rays. That's really the win condition right there, to kind of snowball the Stalker count as we're going into game number 3 on Tokamak LE between MaxPax and Mana. MaxPax, the blue Protoss spawning in the top right, Mana, the red Protoss in the bottom left. I will say, Sturgeon, I'm kind of expecting the exact same game here in game number 3. What about you?
I was just about to ask you, do you think either of these players is going to mix it up? If you're Mana, I mean, that last game went pretty well, honestly. Like, you could see him doing that again and it working. But if anyone... Have fun, Max? No, he said, I'm not having fun against you, proxy in a robo every game. I want to play a macro game. Will you give it to me? But Mana is not going for it just yet. He's just full sending it every game with that proxy robo. I love to see it. Okay, right now we have 2 gases on either side, 1 gateway. I'll take it, the fun, not the game. Ooh.
I love the banter between these two. MaxPax is honestly such a carrier. A character, excuse me.
A carrier.
A carrier. Yeah, well, ideally he'll be getting the carries in this game. He gets to play his late game PvP style, but no, I love catching his streams when I get a chance to. He's so much fun to watch. I feel like he's very low key with his streams. Like they're very. They always catch you at the most inopportune times, or maybe that's just because we live in Korea.
Yeah, viewing stuff in Korea is pretty rough, not gonna lie.
It's the middle of the
It's
night.
the middle of the night, yeah.
Whenever I get that notification on my phone where MaxPax goes live, I just start salivating. I'm like, all right, time to learn something new, you know?
Yeah, I think MaxPax has had enough, though. He actually went for a 2-gate this game.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, so he's not going to take the quick, like the super quick low ground expansion. Maybe going to have a few more units of his own. We'll have to see what he wants to go for here. There is the pylon out on the map for Mana, so he could be going for the same build. But it's going to line up differently versus what MaxPax is doing here. We see 2 Zealots coming out for Mana this time. and Stalker and Adept on the side of MaxPax.
Yeah, I think the Zealots are just because they're the cheapest units to produce out of those gateways, and so you're kind of bluffing a little bit to MaxPax that you're not proxying a tech structure immediately, especially the Stargate that costs 150, 150.
Right. Yeah, I like this. He's making it look like he's doing the same thing, potentially, until MaxPax sees the units. But it's actually a Stargate behind it, and MaxPax going for his own Stargate here as well. Yeah, this is probably going to be Oracle harass, and then they'll go into Stalkers. We'll see who can get the damage done. Okay, this probe's going to try and get out of there, but the Adept...
Just not quite
He has
fast
another shade,
enough.
though, so he probably will get it in the end. Poor probe will go down. And, yeah, he's just sharking around the map here, trying to see if he can find anything. Okay, the probe finally goes down. And, yeah, the good thing for Mana is his...
You're kidding.
No way, that's like a pixel, man.
I love it.
That's like a pixel, and Mana's going to have his Oracle in MaxPax's base so much quicker than MaxPax will have his Oracle in his base.
Yeah, and this is Stargate versus Stargate. I'm quite sure that if MaxPax had spotted that, he would just immediately queue up a Phoenix, because that's going to put a timer on the Oracle. You have to force a recall basically immediately if there's one Phoenix out to try and keep that Oracle alive, or just basically send it as a Hail Mary. Instead, it's Mana going for... Oh, he's actually starting a Phoenix behind this as well. Man, he's... the mind games are running deep on this one. He's anticipating MaxPax to effectively have the same bones of a build, even though this is 2-gate, a little bit safer as opposed to the 1-gate that we saw in game number 1 and game number 2. The builds are effectively the same, right? Biggest difference right now is the second Oracle instead of the Void Ray, and MaxPax, he actually hasn't reacted to this Oracle just yet. Already 6 probes going down. No shield battery here in the main base, and now some good focus fire by Mana, just taking down the low HP probes. 10 workers before 4 minutes is absolutely huge, and we have the Phoenix
finds the Oracle. This is so good for Mana here. Huge economic damage. Going to be able to completely shut down the Oracle on the side of MaxPax. Oh, Ozzy. Okay, not even one probe going down. Mana in such a good spot here. Absolutely brilliant opening for him. The Nexuses will finish up here, but Mana is so far ahead. Even one Stalker going down, not able to recall that. That's very painful. Another Oracle flying in here. The Phoenix is actually not there this time, so he might get a couple probes before this recall comes in. Gets a lot of Stalkers, though, so the Oracle will be shooed away. He loses 6 probes, but this is like a minute later, right? Losing 10 probes a minute before this is such a bigger impact in terms of how much it hurts your economy. And this Oracle just probing around here, gets the Reveille on the Stalkers, and will just fly home.
Yeah, I mean, a 5-worker lead is quite substantial at this stage in the game, and just as you said, those probes have been mining much longer than MaxPax's ones, the ones that went down, so really everything just coming up Mana right now. Blink Tech also coming in. MaxPax, unless I'm mistaken, is still just sitting on gateways and Stargate, and perhaps he might be reading the situation wrong. He might be anticipating some kind of Phoenix War, but it's actually just the one Phoenix from Mana. MaxPax is continuing Phoenix production, going into Phoenix number 2. There are 2 Adepts that are getting some probe damage done in the natural expansion of Mana right now. 3 workers in total going down.
Yeah, those Adepts have some work to do if they're going to get MaxPax back into this game. Okay, good pickup on the Stalker here. There's actually 5 versus 4. That's not bad. And this Phoenix is going to take down the Oracle. Things suddenly get a bit dicey, but Mana's still very far ahead, I would say. That Oracle will go down. Stalkers are pushing in here. Critical damage being dealt. These Adepts still in the main of Mana. He might need to clear those up at some point. Okay, he lifts, but there's nothing to actually kill the units.
Yeah. This is a proper mud wrestle right here.
Yeah,
the
this
PvP.
Is filthy, yeah.
So many workers have gone down. MaxPax is down to 10 workers in 6 minutes. 9 workers now, single digits. I mean, you start with 12 in StarCraft 2. That's it. Mana with some really nice finesse, some brilliant mind games, and a little bit of luck. Just a sprinkle of luck of that probe not spotting that Stargate there in the top left.
Yeah.
He is going to take the series 2-1 over MaxPax, and I mean, those games were really quick, but that was a lot of fun.
That was action-packed, dude. Like, that was just action from start to finish, and this is a little bit of an upset, I would say. This Group D has kind of been turned on its head here, as Mana will actually be the one to go through to the winners match and face Maru now. And MaxPax's going to go to that losers match where he will meet Shin.
Yeah, and my question now is, we already saw Maru play Protoss versus Shin in the first match of the day. He won that 2-1. If you're just tuning in now, make sure you go back and watch that because it was a pretty incredible series.
Amazing series, yeah.
But is he going to play Protoss all day today? Is it just PvZ? Is his PvP going to be on
He's
point?
not going to play PvP, surely.
I mean, I've already
The
seen
madman.
Maru play PVT in GSL. We just saw him play PVZ here in
Right.
RSL.
I'm just thinking about Clem because he would play like PVT, but then when he played a Protoss, he would go back to Terran.
Not anymore. He's
Oh,
playing
he's still
Protoss
playing PvP
now.
now?
Yeah,
Okay,
this
maybe-
is,
all right, forget
the
it.
talk of the town. This is a very
We're
new
in the
development.
Protoss era. My life for Aya. Let's go, dude.
I even saw Björn in one of his matches. I think maybe even versus Clem, saying that he's thinking about also playing some more Protoss.
not another
but
one.
Yeah,
Another
it's,
soldier,
It's
fools.
a crazy time to be
Yeah.
alive, but yeah, in any case, first two series going to be wrapped for today. If you guys want to support us here on Patreon, as we have a lot more games left to be played here, just day one of Season 2, we have a ton of different tiers, or you can support us. You see just 3 of them on screen right now, but there's even more if you go to the Patreon page. That is patreon.com/ReviveSC2, and there are all sorts of perks. There's replays coming out. There's voting rights on the maps that are going to be in the tournament, on the players that are going to be in the tournament. You have your own way of contributing to this whole big thing, and honestly, we wouldn't be able to do this without your support, especially the live event that's going to be happening at the end of the year. I am so excited for that.
I'm so excited for that, and I heard Maru's got the Immortal tier of the Patreon. His favorite unit, apparently. But yeah, the offline event is going to be sick, guys. Thank you so much for everyone who supported so far towards that Patreon, and let's keep it going here.
All right, guys, we're going to go to a short break. When we get back, Maru versus Mana in the winners match of Group D. Welcome back, everybody, to Season 2 of the RSL. We are casting Group D. I am State. Joined with me is Sturgeon. We're about to go into the winner's match of Group D between Mana and Maru. And a little bird in my ear told me that Maru actually is going to be playing Terran.
What a treat.
Thank
God.
And just to go really quickly back into what happened in the first series, Sturgeon, I was talking with Tasteless. We were surprised that he would be playing PvZ of all matchups, because I feel like PvZ, especially if you're going to try and leverage like the strength of Protoss, I feel like PvZ is the matchup that you would want to play. It seems like Protoss is definitely a little bit favored in that matchup, especially as opposed to PvZ. So it's kind of interesting that he's not going into PvP here, isn't it?
I think so, yeah. I think PvP is one of those matchups where, like, playing it on your off race can be really difficult because there's so many little kind of details you need to be aware of, and the games are so volatile. Like, you can just suddenly win or lose. But in those longer games, like the PvZs, he's able to use his mechanics and take the game long and, get the best out of the race like that.
Yeah, I suppose so. I mean, there's also something to be said if you decide you want to play Protoss in a PvP, is that a lot of the series also do look like the way that Mana versus MaxPax did, where it is mostly mechanical. There was a little bit of mind game there in game number 3, but game number 1 and game number 2, I feel like Mana and MaxPax were basically expecting to play those games all day today in PvP between each other, right? I mean, that's kind of the bread and butter of MaxPax doing his greedy macro build, Mana trying to break him down with the proxy robo, going for the War Prism of the Stalkers. But in any case, we're going to be having Maru playing Terran versus Mana, the Protoss player. Maru really impressed me earlier on with his PvZ. Let's see if his Terran is up to snuff.
Yeah, I'm sure it will be. We're going into the next set here.
Wow. Yeah, Evil Heart is going to be map number 1. This is one of the maps that I believe was voted on by the fans, by the patrons. And I've actually never seen a game played on Evil Heart just yet. I was kind of perusing all the maps as we're getting ready here for RSL Season 2, but this is going to be completely new territory for me, Sturgeon. Have you seen this map before?
I've seen it, but not in a game. I've just kind of looked around the map a bit. So I'm also going to be kind of new to this. We'll see what's going to happen, if there's any kind of map-specific strategies that either player can pull out. It's going to be interesting to see. The next game will be on Tokamak, and then the last game will be on Leyline, so a little bit more standard here. But I think if you have a weird, funky build or something specifically prepared, like some prep that you want to pull out, then game 1 could be the game to do it here.
All right, Mana on Evil Heart, spawning in the top right as the red Protoss, and in the bottom left, the blue Terran. It is Maru.
Absolutely. What a series this could line up to be here. Maru's Terran, always a treat. Here we are, just getting a nice pan of the map. Look at these beautiful colors, all the kind of straight lines here around the bases, the nice bright reddy orange color. Yeah, this is nice. A little, I like the little nucleus or atom, whatever that is. Yeah, on the natural expansion there. There is a gold base here in the top left and in the bottom right. Very interesting. If you can get those bases in kind of long macro games, that could be key. Yeah, it looks like a pretty interesting map here.
Yeah, it feels quite small as well, I must say. I think this is significantly less expansions than we see in a typical map. I mean, this is what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bases per side. And I'm trying to remember how many bases we have on a map like Tokamak, and it's too many for me to count because I play Protoss.
Only need 2, baby.
Yeah. Oh, look at this, by the way. Maru going with a 2 barracks opening here in game 1, and Mana also going with a 2 gateway opening. What are these starts?
Wow, we might have some fireworks here in this game. Yeah, maybe they're not super used to the map. Maybe they want to pick something aggressive. We'll have to see. This pylon is going to go down 4 mana here, so he will be proccing something. We'll have to see what that's going to be. It could be a Stargate. And then Maru opening, like you said, with 2 racks. He's got the Reaper out. The second Reaper will join. He's going to be able to send those across the map. 1 Reaper is hard to deal with. 2 Reapers gets a lot more difficult. So Mana's defense will be tested there. And we do see it's going to be the...
Cybercore not done yet.
It's going to be the Cybercore not done, yeah.
All right, 2 Adepts get fired up. I think it's going to be a Stargate, actually. Look at that. Mineral gas, 150,
yeah,
150.
Like Robo,
just making us both look like fools. I thought it was going to be a Stargate,
but okay.
Yeah.
Apparently, Mana likes proxy Robo in a lot of matchups.
Ooh, Maru with this Reaper able to spot the probe and the pylon. Now, he might think this is the first proxy pylon. And certainly alarm bells are going to be ringing a little bit. Fortunately for Maru, this is a 2 barracks opening into a factory, and He is checking around a little bit for a proxy, so certainly there are some suspicions. As of yet, has not scouted that robo.
Yeah, I think this could line up pretty well for Maru. Like, he hasn't taken a CC yet or anything like that. He's just making units. Okay, the Adepts do pick off that SCV there, and the probe goes down as well. Will he go and find... Oh, he just misses that by a few pixels there. It does finish up. Warp Prism first here. So Maru actually bringing his... Maybe... He knows this is PvT, right?
This is the second game in a row for Mana where his proxy has barely not gotten spotted. I mean...
Right. Yeah,
hey, Fortune definitely favoring the bold here. All right, Reaper coming into the main base of Mana. I think he wasn't perhaps anticipating this Reaper timing coming in as the shield battery is not yet done yet. Some nice pro micro thus far, only losing one worker. Shield battery about 80% done. Warp Prism is going to complete, as we saw there on the production tab. Another probe is going to fall, but you know, all things considered, only 2 probes going down. Not that painful, as now we have a drop. 2 Stalkers and 2 Adepts here in the main base of Maru. SCV is getting pulled. First Cyclone nearing completion right now. Is the control really good there on both sides, but with the reinforcements coming in from that factory, Maru is able to push this away. Now, this is a proper one-base build on both sides.
I feel like I'm back in Wings of Liberty. Like, neither player taking an expansion here. Okay, and Maru having this Cyclone is so good against these early aggressive builds of Protoss. You can zone out the Warp Prism, pick off units if they're miss micro, that kind of thing. 2 sentries coming across the map. Now is Mana just going to send it on one base here? It definitely looks like it. This medevac is poking out here. He's going to spot the unit, so he sees it coming here. I don't think he saw the Warp Prism there. But you can guess. Oh, he saw the Warp Prism before, so yeah, he does know what it is. Tank Siege is up in the main. Maru is looking like he's very well defended here. Even a Viking coming out to zone that Warp Prism. And we'll have to see if Mana can get anything done here. Just drop the Cyclone down. We'll pick off the second pylon. But Mana has taken a gold base. Oh my god, he's taking a hidden base in the bottom right. It's looking like one of my ladder games. He's going to be able to like recall some probes down there and get a good eco behind this. Meanwhile, trying to pick off wherever he can with this Immortal. Gotta be so careful with his Warp Prism, and it goes down.
Man, the Cyclone upgrade must have finished because that DPS was just incredible coming out. Immortal is going to fall as well as one more unit in that Warp Prism. And Maru, let's not forget, he's on one base. There isn't another command center behind this. This is a 3-1-1 push coming in from Maru. I feel like I am back in Wings of Liberty. And, I mean, look at the map right here on Evil Heart. It is a close rush distance. He's going to be able to take down this pylon, take down the Robo. The Cyclone's even going to get a lock on here onto this Immortal. That Immortal, it's going to have to find some cover. Gateway units coming back in to defend right now, but Maru has the overwhelming majority in this one. And Mana, he feels like he's forced to take a fight that he really doesn't want to. That Immortal barely staying alive.
Yeah, this is such a huge army for Maru here. He's going to take down the Robo. His units, a couple of the mech units there weak, but they did not fall. And he's probably just going to be able to send this across the map, even getting a Banshee behind this, as well as a Raven. So he's going to have a lot of ability to pick off workers and stuff. Okay, he does get one Marine. This is nice, putting the Stalkers behind the Terran army, picking off reinforcements, but he does need to defend at some point here. There's a massive Terran army on your doorstep here.
Yeah, this is going to be a very tricky situation right now for Mana as Maru's coming in. There's no natural expansion, but I don't think he cares. He's going to push right into the heart of the beast. Siege tanks right there at the lower side of the ramp. Force Field doing a pretty good job of forcing everything away, but with 3 tanks, I mean, that range is just huge.
And I think Mana recalled probes to the bottom right, so he couldn't recall the Stalkers, right?
Oh, that's
so
right.
they actually have to walk the long way home, and it's a short rest distance, but it's still the whole way across the map. They're completely not in this fight, not able to contribute, and so much damage going down. The probes have to be pulled here. Mana going to flank with these Stalkers, try and pick off some tanks, but there's so much Terran left. Can he get it done? 9, 12, 15 probes going down. There's just so many. The Raven dropping some auto turrets as well. Massive damage here. Maru looking in a very dominant position here in game 1.
Yeah, I mean, that's just going to be it. Maru with pretty nice build order selection right there in game number 1, going for a 3-1-1 push on one base. And, man, talk about fireworks here from Mana. That's the 4th game in a row. He's played 4 games so far here in RSL. Yeah. Day 1, he's proxied in every single game, and it's kind of understandable. The first 3 games, yeah, those are PvPs. You're going up against MaxPax.
Yeah, PvP.
It's kind of how you deal with that guy. His defense is just too solid to play it otherwise. But to keep that aggressive momentum going here versus Maru, I mean, I know Evil Heart, it looks like a very small map. It looks like it's a map that absolutely favors aggression, but Mana is all gas and no brakes today.
Absolutely. I kind of like it. A bit of a cheeky build. You're going up against Maru, one of the best Terrans in the world, right? You need to do... I mean, if you play him in a straight-up game, it's going to be extremely tough. So he goes for a cheeky hidden base, recalls the probes down there. I think if he kept the Warp Prism alive, he would have had a much better time with that build. But losing that Warp Prism really set him back, I feel like. He could have like picked up the Immortal when the Cyclones targeted it. You know, little things like that, and maybe kept a few more units alive. But it did go down, and Maru just had such a huge army with the 3 barracks, like you said, and all those tanks, Banshee Raven. Big push.
Honestly, I feel like with the map architecture, the way the build order is lined up, even if that Warp Prism survives, I think Maru takes that game 100 times out of 100. That was just...
Probably, yeah. I mean, it would have helped, but...
Yeah, it certainly would have helped.
It would have helped a little bit, but you're probably right, yeah. I'm trying to make, hype it up, but that push was deadly for sure.
Yeah, you love to see it. And this is one of the fun things about having maps like Evohard that get added into the mix is we saw this in RSL Season 1 with some proxy hatches, with minerals getting mined out in the back of some main bases where there's a hidden path that you could unlock, is that it takes these players to the next level in terms of, all right, how do I, what is the quirkiest thing, how do I abuse the map features before they get discovered, before anybody else? And it's just a pleasure to watch. So thank you to the patrons for voting in that map. That was a really fun map number 1. And
shout out to the Patreons.
Yeah, now we're going to game number 2. Maru versus Mana. Mana spawning here in the bottom left, the red Protoss. Maru, the blue Terran in the top right. Maru only 1 map win away from advancing in first place out of Group D.
Yeah, Maru looking very solid here today on both races, on the Protoss and on the Terran, as we know. Yeah, that was a really interesting game 1. I don't think we'll see another game like that in this series. I would be shocked. Maybe Mana will still be aggressive, but I doubt we'll see like another hidden base in the corner or anything like that. I'd like to see a standard game here, but who knows? We'll have to see what each player would like to go for here on Tokamak. Like you say, this is a map that both players have played like thousands of games on, or hundreds of thousands of games. You know, a lot of games. They know the map inside out. Probably going to see less cheeky stuff, maybe a little bit more standard here. We do have that first Rax going down, and the Gateway will finish up. Probably going to get a Reaper here in the early game. Everything looking quite normal so far. We do have the second gas for Terran, so he's going to have his tech available nice and quickly here.
Yeah, 2 guys opening here for Maru. We'll have to see what choice is going to be out of that barracks. As some players have been opting to go for a Marine first and then a very fast factory, but more likely than not, yeah, it is going to be that Reaper coming in here for Maru. And Mana, up until this point, I'm looking at the mini-map, and I'm quite sure that this is the first probe scout coming across the map, and so he's going to be checking for a proxy over here at the third base, making sure there's no barracks hidden over here for a proxy Reaper.
Yeah, Maru definitely known to throw out a proxy every now and then. He's not shy to do that, so good to check for that. He's checking a little bit more around here, doesn't see anything, and then we'll just go and check the Terran base, confirm what's going on. The Reaper might be able to kill the probe, actually. Might be able to find it before it gets there. We'll have to see if that does happen. There is a factory going down with a reactor here. Ooh, that's... Okay, the Reaper just... man... Okay, I was going to say he's getting so lucky today with these probes, but it does actually get found this time. And Mana has his Nexus going down behind this, so he will be trying to macro up. And we'll have to see what the choice is going to be once this factory finishes. CC going down for Maru as well. We at least have a 2-base game this time today.
Yeah, we certainly do. And I want to say, I really like the movement there from Mana with the probe. It was a delayed scout, so first he checks for the proxies, but it felt like he had a very good read on what the Reaper timing would be, even if the Reaper checked the natural expansion, because he was just like maybe half a second away from that probe scout getting into the main base. And I think he did spot the natural expansion, so if you don't see a CC on the low ground that early, it is possible there's a CC on the high ground, but more likely than not, it's going to be a 2-gas opening. And now with the Hallucination Scout coming in from Mana, he should very quickly have a good idea of what the build's going to be. And coming in from Maru, it's going to be the classic Reaper Hellion combo.
Absolutely. This build is deadly. You can jump into that mineral line, pick off, probes super quick, get that eco damage. The Reaper jumps in, but the Stalker is there to greet him, so he says, okay, goodbye. I will just loop around, regen, and try and do something later. You can't lose any units. You can't lose this first Reaper if you're doing a Reaper Hellion build, right? You need every unit you can. So he does do well to keep that alive. And the Starport is going to finish up here. It could be a medevac or something, ferry those units in the main. Okay, here we go, the dive. The force field just misses. Hellions get a good few shots here. 2 probes go down. Okay, the second force field is great. Actually zones out these Reapers from killing any more probes. He's got to take out these units without taking too many losses. And so far, 4 probes, not the worst.
Yeah, not all that bad actually. It was a little bit scary when that first oh no, when I was gonna survive. When the first force field kind of whipped a little bit there, the natural expansion, but in retrospect, I wonder if there's something to be gained here for Mana in terms of letting the units in. Obviously, he lost more probes than he would want to, but in an ideal situation, maybe you're able to save them. And then it's kind of like, I'm not locked in here with you, you're locked in here with me, right? Because he had the Reaper wall in there at the main base. You could see Maru was trying to micro with the Reapers to get them into the main mineral line to try and get some more damage done, but the Gateway and Pylon blocked it, plus that one force field right in the mineral line really allowed Mana to clean it up. But with the dust settling, I think that Maru, pretty happy with that one. Ideally, you're trying to get like 6 probes or maybe a little bit more with a push like that one, but this is certainly a position that he's found himself in with this build more often than not, and I think it's absolutely playable here for Maru.
Yeah, absolutely. And round 2 of the harass will be coming here now as we do see Cloak Banshees. Cloak about 80% done. 1 Banshee out already, second one on the way. Maru's control with these Banshees can be so good, so it's going to be tough for Mana to deal with. He does have Blink though, and he does have a Robo on the way, so he will have that detection. If he plays defensively with these Stalkers, he'll be able to deal with this. I kind of like Mana's position right now, like not terrible for either side, looks kind of even here. And yeah, we'll have to see if he's able to get anything done with those Banshees. 2 Stalkers in the main to spot. The rest of the units are the natural. The first Banshee is floating over here. 1 Hellion might actually take out this Probe before it can put down a Nexus here. Oh, that's so annoying. It will delay that 3rd base there for a bit. And the Banshee's coming in. There's Stalkers here, but I don't think we have an Observer here just yet. It's on the way. So Mara has free reign over this mineral line right now. Going to be able to pick off a bunch of probes. The pull is quite late as well. Mana not pulling these probes right now. Just going to leave them mine in. Okay, only 4 go down. It's starting to add up, though.
Yeah, a little bit of a bluff right there by Mana. Because he's not pulling the probes, he's trying to make Maru think that, okay, well, I can pounce on this Banshee in just a moment and get a kill, so you better pull back, right? But I would have loved to see a shield battery there just in case of something like this with the 2 guys opening. Instead, 4 more probes going down, worker counts are even. Yes, Mana is going for the 3rd Nexus right now at that triangle expansion, but a situation like this one, actually, look at that. Maru throwing down 2 more factories. I think we're going to be seeing, I don't know if this is going to be battle mech because we do have more siege tanks in production, but that certainly is a possibility.
Yeah, we do have the upgrade going here down on the factory. And there's a decent amount of Stalkers here at the front. He's going to see if he can get any damage. Charge on the way as well behind this. Maru's got... is that another factory that's just gone down? Another 2 factories going down. Okay, so yeah, we're going to see a lot of mech here, but Mana does have a little chance here to do some damage. And I think right now is... I don't know if he knows just yet what exactly Maru is doing here. The Banshees float back in. No Stalkers here to greet them. Just 1 sentry. So Maru's going to go to town on this probe line again. Okay, this time he pulls it nice and quick. Only loses 2. That's not too bad. If you get a Banshee, that would be really nice.
Just a little bit too quick as Cyclones are now getting added into the mix. And we'll see if Maru's going to go for a 3rd command center or if he's just going to really lean heavily into this mech push, because I actually feel like with the economic damage that has been done over the course of this game, if he just reinforces with Hellions, with Cyclones, and does like a Hellbat transformation right out of the gate. Oh, wait. Forget that completely. I totally missed this. There actually has been a 3rd command center done for quite a while now.
Oh, yeah, he made it quite early. So yeah. I think he's trying to play like macro mech here, you know?
No, you're right.
Yeah, he's actually got it a pretty decent time compared to the Protoss. Obviously, the Protoss usually gets it first, the Nexus first, right? But Maru's CC has landed here pretty quick here at 7 minutes 30. And these Stalkers, I don't think they can get anything done now with these Cyclones around with the upgrade. They will have to go home unless they want to die. Storm is on the way and +1. So Mana also macroing up here, and he's going for a 4th base as well.
Yeah, 4th base here for Mana, but I'm looking at the army supplies right now, and I'm a little bit concerned for our Protoss player. Of course, Storm, it is a great upgrade to have. It's one of the best upgrades in the game. Storm is, you know, the majority of the damage that Protoss is going to be dishing out will be the AoE damage Storm in a PvT, but against mech, it's not quite as good. The units are a lot sturdier. They're not quite the glass cannon composition that Bio is, and they have a lot more range to play with, especially those Cyclones and Siege tanks. And so if Mana leans a little bit too heavily onto the gas, and I'm happy that he's only staying on 4 gas as a result of this, things could go badly, and this is why we see him pivoting into triple Robo. 2 more Robos getting thrown down, and mortal production has started. If Mana leans a little gas, where gas is could go pivoting into 2 more robots started. Shin just economic and pulling more and more ahead.
These Banshees worth their weight in gold right now. Getting so many probes. Okay, finally we'll pick off one. The other one low HP. That's probably going to be the end of the Banshee harass, but they did enough. They have killed so many probes throughout this game, going in time and time again. And as Mana takes this 4th base, there's going to be a huge window where Maru can be aggressive here, where, like you said, he has the big army supply lead.
Yeah, and the fact that Mana's lost so many probes over the course of this game, not just to the Hellion and Reaper harassment, but to the subsequent Banshee follow-ups. And these Stalkers also getting caught out, plus the Observer. I don't even think one of them is going to survive. This one trying to live to tell the tale, but it also will get taken down. Maru just in a commanding position in game number 2. And let's not forget, this is just a small squadron. There's so much more rallying across the map right now, and actually Mana's about to get sandwiched.
It's all blue right now. Maru is sending it. He does have a 4CC. He's not all in, but there's so many units going down here. He does try and get a storm. It just tickles those Hellions. Okay, he loses a couple. That's something. But this army is absolutely massive. Hellbats transform here. The medevacs are healing them up. The tank siege. And Maru can kind of start to creep forward with these tanks, siege, unsiege, try and get in a good position. If he sieges on this 3rd base, it's going to be very difficult for Mana to break. He actually jumps in and picks off 1, maybe 2 tanks before they get the siege. Even go for a 3rd one. Nice move by Mana there.
Wow, really good engagement from Mana. I mean, it feels like you're trying to get water from a stone right now in this situation versus Maru, but taking a pretty good fight. 2 of those siege tanks already being taken down. The Immortal, man, 2 Templar fall to the siege tanks on the high grounds. The Immortal was able to take down a couple Cyclones there on the front line, but at the end of the day, it's 170 supply plus Maru sieging down this expansion from Mana. Yes, we do have a defensive recall coming in to save some of those probes and the army that was isolated in that little corner by this triangle expansion. And yes, Mana is trying to go for a counterattack, but so far things are just so good for Maru. This engagement, though, Mana trying to swing the pendulum back to the other side, get some momentum in his favor. He is able to push this force back, but I'm a little bit concerned about what the follow-up push from Maru is going to have the potential to do.
Yeah, Maru's on a 4th base here. The macro is out of control. 4 Cyclones being built at a time, with 3 Immortals being built at a time from Mana. He's actually somehow trying to make a game out of this. Beautiful engagement, like you said. And the Storm going down on these Hellbats. Immortal's so good against these mech units. The lock-ons are pretty good from the Cyclones, but they don't actually manage to kill anything. Hang on a minute here. Is Mana going to be able to put together a bit of a Hail Mary push? 3 Immortals coming out at a time versus mech is very scary.
Yeah, these last 2 engagements have been so good for Mana, and I actually thought that Maru was remaxing potentially on more siege tanks and Hellbats, but the fact that he's going into Cyclones, I know that they are the map control unit, but with Immortal counts like this, it's kind of tough to make it happen, especially if you're around a ramp, because the moment those Immortals lock onto the Cyclones, so much damage is done. It seems like we have a little bit of an internet hiccup here. Bear with us for just a moment, please. We're trying to get this sorted out.
Yeah, just bear with us here, guys. Very tense moment in the match right here as Mana is going for this push at the end. The pre-igniters were just finishing.
Yeah, we're trying to identify right now whether it is the internet that is the issue or the feed coming in is... Oh, we got a glimpse of the game for a moment there again. As it seems like there's a little bit of lag right now. Mapu actually going in with a pause. So there are some tech issues. Hopefully we'll get this sorted.
Yeah, this is... Mana says, nice time.
Yeah, big laugh there from Maru. Oh, it's a frustrating moment for sure. As it seems like we missed a couple of seconds there as Maru was able to push in, or Mana, excuse me, was able to push in with the Immortals into this 3rd base. But it seems like the lag has mostly subsided.
Yeah, we'll have to see what's going to happen here. At some point, we will be able to jump back into this game. Unfortunate timing here for the players. This is kind of the pivotal moment in the game. We're just working through these tech issues, guys. Bear with us for one moment here.
Yeah, I'm wondering if it was the observing client that had these issues. But in any case, it seems like, you know, Mana, based on the screen that we have right now, he's in a pretty comfortable position at this 3rd base. Maru still does have, of course, that army supply lead. And I mean, 151 supply to 106, but the standing army here for Mana is just...
Yeah, it's interesting. Maru has much more army, but all Mana's army is Immortals, basically. And he's playing against mech, so I don't know here. I mean, if he gets a good engagement or 2 here, he might be able to just run over the mech army with these Immortals. We'll have to see what's going to happen here.
All right, well, Mapu is saying go, go, so it looks like our game is going to be resuming here in just a moment. Mana is ready, just waiting for Maru to confirm, and he's ready as well. Countdown is coming in as the Immortals continue going in for the fight right now. Cyclones, they are going to get parried. Nice little shimmy there by Mana, just trying to keep them away from the ramp as we have all the battle mech coming in here on this bottom side. Immortals struggling to get the connections to the Cyclones. They're all so low on HP. The SCVs get cleaned up from this third base, and it's just Immortals, but can they actually close the distance onto those Cyclone Sturgeon?
Both players losing 22 workers. What is going on here? An absolute bloodbath in the middle of the map. The Immortals stand strong, though. They were getting kited for ages by these Cyclones, but they are still alive right now. I feel like Maru has so much micro potential here, though, with the Cyclones, with the Medivacs. Going to try and pick off whatever he can, but on the other hand, Mano's the Warp Prism, right? He can juggle the Immortals to break the lock-ons, and I don't know, Maru's got more of everything, but these Immortals have just been absolute heroes this game.
Yeah, what a crazy last couple of minutes right now as Mana's kind of turned this game on the head with a 3 robo transition. Wow, ambitious blink forward with the Stalkers, able to focus down only one of those Cyclones, now doing defensive pickups here with a Warp Prism. Only 2 Immortals standing, SCVs getting pulled, absorbing the brunt of the damage right now. One of the Immortals is going to fall, and Maru, even though these Cyclones relatively low on HP, is able to trounce this force from Mana in the center of the map. Mana now retreating with a Warp Prism. You gotta be very careful. Oh, he's trying to focus down all of these Cyclones, but the Warp Prism finally gets taken out. GG is called, and Maru is going to win game number 2 and this series 2-0. Very impressive there by Maru. Mana, man, I thought he was down for the count a lot earlier than he actually was, but talk about a counterpunch. He brought that game so close to bringing it back.
Yeah, I mean, in the end, if Maru didn't pull the workers, that could have gone the other way. Like, that game was down to the wire. Maru was obviously very ahead economically, so he's able to use those SCVs as a meat shield, let his Cyclones get all the damage done that they needed. Mana microed his heart out at the end, but the numbers just weren't there.
Yeah, and 2 very different games from Maru coming out in this series. Game number 1, I love the choice on Evil Heart, I believe was the name of the map.
Right.
Very small map, very aggressive map. You can see Mana, he went for the proxy robo. He was trying to get some damage done, but Maru almost preempted him, going for a 3-1-1. 3 barracks, 1 factory, 1 starport, a classic siege tank push on 1 base. And then in game number 2, just going really heavily into mech, and it wasn't even pure battle mech, you know. There was a substantial number of siege tanks to kick things off, and then, you know, the Hellbats and the Cyclones really shored up the army after that point. But yeah, fun games.
Yeah, really interesting style from Maru. Like, I love how macro orientated he was with it as well. Some people are going to go for battle mech and try to get map control and push. He's like, no, I'm going to get a really quick 3rd CC, a pretty quick 4th CC as well. I'm going to get my eco in a really good spot, and then the Protoss has to do something to him after he takes out that 3rd base.
All right, so Maru is going to be advancing in first place from Group D, 2-1 win over Shin with his Protoss, and then a 2-0 win in TVP versus Mana. Next series is going to be Mana versus, oh wait, no, MaxPax versus Shin, excuse me, as that would be the losers match. Mana falling now all the way to the final match of the group.
Yeah, absolutely. Maru, a nice short day for him, goes through the winners match, and yeah, Shin waiting down in that losers match. I think that's going to be a great series between him and Shin, between Shin and MaxPax.
Yeah.
Could be a great PVZ. Both of them super strong in that matchup, I feel like. And yeah, it's going to be a banger.
All right, guys, we're going to go to a short break. When we come back, Group D is going to continue here at day 1 of RSL. back, everybody, to day one of the RSL Season 2. We are casting Group D right now. I'm State. Joined with me is Sturgeon. We're getting ready to go into the elimination match of this group, MaxPax versus Shin. What are you thinking, man?
I'm thinking we're going to have a great game.
Yeah?
These are two players very strong in this matchup. Shin, obviously, a very strong ZVP player. MaxPax is the PVZ. Nothing to be, ooh, it's just, I'm getting chills right now just thinking about how good this game's going to be.
Yeah.
I hope we see some wild strats. I hope we see some aggression, some macro. I'm really excited.
I am too, man. But I have to say, after Maru was able to dispatch Shin in PvZ,
Maru's built different, man.
I know he's built different, but what is it gonna say if MaxPax loses this series to Shin? Is what I'm wondering, because Maru looked pretty spectacular in his 3 games. If you guys missed it, if you're just tuning in now, absolutely go back and watch that series.
Amazing
it was
series,
phenomenal,
yeah.
especially that game number 3. I mean, the mind games coming in from Maru. He was born to be a Protoss player, man.
Yeah, he picked the wrong race.
Yeah, he picked the wrong race. If he had played Protoss from the beginning, he might have won 10 GSLs at this point or something.
Instead of
I have
8,
no
yeah.
idea. In any case, MaxPax versus Shin. I must say, I'm also kind of surprised to see this as the losers match. I feel like Maru versus Shin, of course, that can go either way, but
Right.
MaxPax, I feel like I see this guy in every online tournament. This is my first time ever casting him play, because usually I'm doing live events, and it feels like he's Neo in the Matrix, you know? Like, especially in PvP, like, these people throw all-ins at him, and he's able to parry basically everything. He seems nigh unstoppable, the mystery man that nobody ever sees. And then he comes in, and Mana looks so solid in that first series. We're going to have him in the elimination match
It's kind of
round
crazy.
1. I was kind of expecting a little bit of a different result, but map 1, it is already loaded in. We are going into this PvZ right now with MaxPax, the blue Protoss, spawning in the bottom left, Shin, the red Zerg, in the top right.
Yeah, here we go, guys. Evil Heart again. So will we see any interesting PvZ strategies coming out from either player? We do have the gold bases in the top left and bottom right on this map. It's not actually that far from natural base to natural base, right? So I feel like we might see some aggression coming out here, like some more aggressive strategies being chosen. I don't know if this is the kind of map that you can split in half and go for that super late game PvZ that we've been seeing.
No way.
No, so well, it should be interesting. Okay, the probe is here to block the natural. No problem. Shin says that's fine. I will just go down to the third and take it. That can be a little bit annoying when you deal with the depth pressure and stuff like that. You don't have to creep connecting the bases and stuff. But Shin obviously good enough to handle that and know the responses. And it's just going to be a hatch gas pool coming out here for Shin. And on the back of it, a 1 gate so far from MaxPax.
So I'm looking at the architecture of the map here, because this is the second time I am ever seeing Evil Heart, and this is the first time in a PvZ. The third base that Shin went for, it feels like it's kind of tough to go between the natural expansion and the third here as Shin. Like, I'm imagining potential timing attacks from MaxPax, or maybe even like the Oracles and the Adepts being able to cause potentially more trouble than they could on another map. I feel like the third base being the triangle expansion might make a little bit more sense here for Zerg. And going back to your point about the split map, on Takamuk, I was counting the expansions actually as we're going over, because it's 6 per player here on Evil Heart. On that map, I believe it was 8. And so there's a lot less resources to be gathered on the map naturally, and also those gold bases in the bottom left and the top right corner. I mean, look at MaxPax's side of the map. If he takes his 5 bases, how easy is it for him to warp in from 9 o'clock all the way to that top left? This expansion of Shin takes that gold, you know? I feel like you're basically 5 bases might be the max here.
Yeah, maybe. I think this would be a good map for Shin to try the strategy he used in Game 2 against Maru. Like a really heavy Hydroling Bane, be super aggressive, max out quickly. If you go for something, later tech than that, like Lurkers, you might be in trouble on this kind of a shorter map. But I think there's a lot of avenues that the units can move around on this map. So splitting up your army, attacking from a few different places, trying to hit the Protoss 4th as it's going up, that kind of thing could be good here. We do see Shin taking his natural now as his third base, and it's going to be a Stargate here for MaxPax. So everything looking very standard so far. We do know that Shin likes the quick Evo melee +1 upgrade, which we saw against Maru. So I think this would be another good situation to use it against the Stargate builds. That's the best situation to use that build, right? This Adept getting in, like we talked about, the bases aren't connected by creep, so it's a little bit annoying to deal with these first couple of Adepts. But so far, Shin not losing too much, just a Ling, I think. And yeah, The Oracle will come across now. Second one in production as well. This Queen is all alone here with just 2 Lings to defend against 2 Adepts. It's not quite enough right now. We do see more Lings in production and coming over, but they're so far away off creep. Actually going to, get a little bit of damage here.
And even more damage being done by this Adept here in the mineral line. That was really well played by MaxPax. Both Adepts stay alive. A lot of lost mining time with the drones getting pulled. 4 Lings and 1 drone all getting taken down. And that's before the Oracle harassment has even really begun. And these Lings able to get the surround right there on that 1 low HP Adept. Able to quickly take that one out. It's a little bit painful losing the second Adept because this typically means you need 1 Oracle at home in case there's a Ling flood to protect the third base.
Right, yeah, absolutely. Like, you can just make a bunch of Lings as the Zerg, right, on like 40-something drones and try to deny that third base. But if, like you say, if you have the 2 Adepts between the mineral lines or something like that in a good defensive position, you can shut that down. The Oracle flies in. There's 2 Queens to greet it, but no Spore Crawler just yet. He gets 3 drones and just gets out on red HP. Not the worst for Shin. Losing 3 to the first Oracle isn't like a disaster, but you know, you would want to keep those obviously. This Adept, like you said, without the Oracles will actually fall, and this red HP one comes back just in time to stop any more damage. The Spore Crawler just finishing in time here. Another drone does go down. Decent start here for MaxPax. He's getting some damage here.
Yeah, I want to say this is 5 or 6 drones in total falling here for Shin, and MaxPax is, well, I mean, not just MaxPax's PBZ, but PBZ in general is very much a matchup that you have to focus on the early game. It's about how much damage can either player get done. Usually it's the Protoss player trying to go for harassment with the Oracles and the Adepts. If the Zerg player is able to successfully parry all those harassment options, I feel like it's very good for the Zerg. But 5 or 6 drones going down plus the lost mining time here, I feel like this absolutely favors MaxPax. And yeah, I was surprised by you. We had a ton of Overlords in production a moment ago, but as it is, mostly just droning here for Shin.
Yeah, I think he hit a massive supply block there, and he had to make 6 in a row, which is kind of not what you want to have to do. You know, that's not smooth with the drone production, right? We do see the blink coming out from Mana, and he has the Oracles, so he can do that aggression where you put down the stasis traps, you kind of layer them, and you make the Zerg attack into you, and you pick off wherever you can. 1 Overlord will go down here to start. There is a couple Lings here and more in production, but right now, Shin doesn't have a huge army. He will have enough to just push this back with a few Queens. Obviously, MaxPax doesn't want to overcommit and lose anything here. You've got to keep these units alive. He's just trying to make the Zerg make more units, right? So he makes less drones.
Yeah, and also clean up this creep, which he's doing a fantastic job of thus far. The only tumor that remains is basically at the wall in here between the Evolution Chamber and the Roach Warren. Stasis Trap is going to trigger, but only catching 3 of these Lings right now. Blink isn't done yet. I love using just these lone couple of Lings, basically as a force field to try and mitigate the surface area those Lings can get on a surround. Very nice patient play from MaxPax thus far, as Blink is now finally complete. Could probably get even more value out of these Stalkers.
Yeah, MaxPax doing an amazing job. He's actually ahead in workers right here, which is very surprising. Shin is making a ton of Roach Ling right now, trying to deal with this Stalker pressure. Oh, good stasis trap there. Picks off a ton of Lings. Will keep them stuck there for a while he goes to work on this army. Shin actually took the bottom right gold base, by the way, not the triangle base. So, another stasis trap goes down. This is suddenly becoming really bad here for Shin. The Stalker count is kind of getting out of control.
Yeah, these Stalkers are getting so much damage done. The stasis traps, the last 2 of them have been so on point. This stasis trap, okay, does get defused by only 1 Ling. Defensive Link's away right now from MaxPax as the Ling count is starting to thin out. There's so many Stalkers remaining here, though, and MaxPax has done a very good job of trying to focus on the Queens. The Queens are really the force that prevents the Oracles from relentlessly providing support to these Stalkers, and with the Stalker count now this high, we have more Stalkers than Zerg units on the ground right now that can attack. I feel like this game, even though MaxPax has a lot of workers and has been transitioning, getting upgrades, he's basically winning this with pure Blink Stalker finesse.
The execution on this push has been a 10 out of 10, like perfect Stalker control, all the stasis traps going down in the right places at the right times, picking off units here and there, not overextending. Now he has Blink, he's going to be able to save these weak Stalkers as they almost go down, linking them to the back, and the efficiency of these units is out of this world right now. Shin just doesn't have enough. He's frantically making units off a lower work count. Oh my god, 6,000 to 1,000 resources lost. Shin's forced to tap out.
That was a better than 10-1 KD for MaxPax. So we typically don't talk about KD in StarCraft 2, but I want to talk about it because if MaxPax was playing basically any other game, he'd be VAC banned by now. That was absolutely ridiculous. And what was most impressive about it, to me, Sturgeon, was behind that. He's taken the 4th base. He has Forge upgrades coming online. He's getting Charge. We might have even had a Templar Archives in production. I'm not quite sure if that was there yet. If it wasn't, it was very soon in the pipeline.
Right. Yeah,
there is so much more behind that push. That was just MaxPax's mid-game, but the execution, as you said, it was perfect.
Yeah, it's very hard to pick out anything he could have done better with that army that he had. And meanwhile, he was constantly making probes behind it. He had a worker lead of like 6 or 7 probes as he was making that push. So he wasn't all in. He was in a very good spot economically as well. And just a masterclass of how to do the Stalker Oracle push by MaxPax. If you want to learn that build, that's a good replay to study.
I also feel like Evil Heart is probably one of the best maps in terms of architecture for doing this because the rush distance is so close. The Adepts and Oracles were able to get quite a bit of damage done, even though it felt like Shin perhaps didn't misplay that much. Maybe the initial Adept harassment he could have dealt with a little bit better, but in general, I mean, the units just got there so quickly, right? It's a very aggressive map, and it goes back to MaxPax going for the block at the natural expansion because it really spread Shin very thin. Early on the defense, 5 or 6 drones go down in total. A lot of lings are lost. Mining time is lost, and from there it just snowballs and everything culminates in this huge Blinkstalker push.
Exactly. At first you lose a little bit of mining time, it's not a big deal, but then the next thing hits a little bit harder, and yeah, it got out of control in the end. MaxPax able to take game number 1. We are here in game 2 on Maganatha. In the bottom right, we have Shin as the Zerg player in red, and in the top left, it's MaxPax in blue.
Man, looking at the mini-map, it just feels like night and day between Maganatha.
I know, right? This map looks huge now suddenly.
Oh my goodness. I feel like I'm getting whiplash just looking at these mini-maps. That is
It's
crazy.
like when Harry Potter came out the cupboard under the stairs and like moved into his own place. He's like, oh my god, it's huge.
There's minerals everywhere in here. I think we're going to have a much more standard game. I wouldn't be surprised if MaxPax did basically the same build because it's a very...
It's pretty standard,
yeah,
right?
it's standard. It's a very standard approach that you can have in PvZ. You don't have to play that style, but it is absolutely one of the viable styles in this matchup. But I would be surprised, Sturgeon, if we saw it work quite to the degree that it did in game number 1 on Evil Heart.
Yeah, the map definitely played into that a little bit. And on this time, Shin's actually got his natural location, his second base at the natural location. So he's going to have an easier time dealing with the first couple of Adepts, you know, getting his queens in position to force those back, get his eco going a bit more. He didn't quite have the drone count you're looking for in the last game, I feel like. So hopefully the early game will go a little bit better for him here. We do see the Nexus going down for MaxPax before the Cybercore. And yeah, we're going into the mid game here. Shin has his gas on the way for that ling speed. We'll have to see what he wants to do afterwards.
Yeah, it just looks like relatively standard openings on both sides right now. Shin floating a bit of minerals, getting ready to pump out those queens as soon as that spawning pool and hatchery are done. And for MaxPax, I'm kind of expecting the same cookie cutter opening in terms of the fast oracles paired up with the Adepts. MaxPax, one of the best players in the world, eking out value in the early game with those units.
Yeah, absolutely. Real masterclass last game. That was cool to see. Like, we've seen that push a lot, but especially on Evil Heart, it was super strong. Okay, it is going to be the Stargate and Adept coming out here for MaxPax. So far, it could be something similar. I would love to see Shin try the Evo plus melee build, +1 melee build, like I was talking about. He did that to Maru in game 2. Super effective at dealing with these Stalker pushes after you go for a Stargate. So we'll have to see if he wants to mix it up here or if he's going to go back into Roaches. We'll have to see what his choice will be.
And I actually didn't catch this, but it appears this was a no-scout opening here for MaxPax because that was a 212, 213 Stargate. So
oh, wow, yeah.
Very fast Stargate coming in. Shin versus Maru in the earlier series, and I can't believe I'm saying this, Maru's Oracle got there faster than Shin was expecting by about 4 or 5 seconds when he also went for a scoutless build and was able to get some pretty good damage done. So let's see if MaxPax is able to work the same magic here.
Yeah, absolutely. Shin is going for the triangle third base this time, so a little bit of a different layout in the structure of his bases here. The Adept is going to try and shade in. 2 queens here at the front to shoo him away, and he's not going to commit to the shade, of course. He just sees there's lots of drones there, mine at the natural, no crazy ling aggression or anything like that, as the ling speed does finish up here. Also, going back to game 1, Shin had that massive supply block that I just remembered. That probably hindered him a lot. I think this early game is going much better for Shin, and he's in a lot more of a comfortable spot here. The 330 Nexus goes down, so MaxPax is going to be very eco-focused here. And the first Oracle is flying across the map here. We'll have to see if this spore looks like it's going to be ready in time. We are well in advance. So already liking Shin's position here. See if he can deny as many kills as he can. Only 2 this time, and that Oracle goes down to red HP. Pretty good defense here by Shin.
Yeah, you can't really stop the Oracle from getting 2 kills, right? If it's deciding it's going to trade the whole damage for the drone kills, this is basically what you get as a guarantee here with these Oracles is just, you know, 1 or 2 of them. And Shin, look at the minimap, actually a big flood of links coming across map. That red HP Oracle is going to station itself above the 3rd Nexus to try and defend it. I'm not sure these links will actually be able to get too much done. I think the Nexus is just too far along.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. He made it earlier, which is better for him because he has more HP, right? Oh, these Adepts going to go down, though. He does have an Oracle here. Going to have to pull some more stuff to defend this. And Shin's actually going for the +1 melee build like we talked about earlier. He got that super early Evo chamber, like 4 minutes. Oh, it's actually going to be Glaive Adepts, though, on the side of MaxPax, mixing it up here.
With 4 more gateways as well, so it could be 6 gate Glaives, I believe, maybe 5. I think this is a 1 gate expand, actually, to the 3rd, so... Glaives coming in now for the Protoss player. If Shin leans really heavily on these lings, even with +1 melee attack, it could bode poorly for him. More lings now coming in. One of these Adepts is going to survive here in the mineral line. I think maybe only 1 probe, if that, even going down.
That Adept barely surviving there. And okay, he's actually making a Baneling there, so that can be great if all the Adepts shade in and you blow them all up as soon as they shade. It can be awesome, but you got to have them ready in time, right? This Adept Glaives is almost finishing up, and Shin has got to sniff this out very quickly here.
I think actually it's Shin that's going to be trying to get aggressive. This reminds me of a build that we saw Cyril do. I can't remember. It's been so many months, but a timing attack with +1, a ton of lings and banelings. He is going for a 4th hatchery, but there hasn't been a drone made until now for a very long time. I wonder what these lings and banelings could potentially get done should Shin decide to be aggressive. Of course, with Glaives done now, it actually is going to get revealed. You can tell based on the attack speed and also the animation here from these Adepts that this is a possibility. And so for Shin, maybe this is the kind of thing that you see it and you're like, all right, maybe let's not commit too hard. Instead, the banelings back at home, definitely going to be defensive right now. 8 of them morphing in, tons of Adepts coming cross map.
This is wild. Both players wanted to be super aggressive in the mid game here, and we're going to have an explosion here in the middle. The Dark Shrine is on the way as well. That could cause some chaos. The first shade comes in. There's so much Ling Bane here. You got to be so careful here as MaxPax. You do not want those Banelings connecting on the Adepts. So many go down. The shade finishes. He's going to be able to chase the rest of these down with the Lings. The drones actually get pulled here, and he will get a couple of them, but yeah, great defense by Shin here.
Yeah, I'm not sure how aggressive exactly Shin wanted to be with a very high number of lings and the banelings, but in any case, it's just the perfect response. Whether it was intended or unintended, he's able to deal with this glaive attack just flawlessly right there. 18 Adepts go down, and yeah, he did lose a lot of lings, but for Shin, you know that Protoss has really slowed down their tech back at home. You're able to happily get on 4 bases very quickly here, and Shin has a couple of different decisions he can make. He can continue to drone up, saturate that 4th base and play a longer game, or as it looks like he's doing, you could really start to go gung-ho with the Hydralisks, with the Banelings, with additional Lings coming in and get aggressive.
Yeah, absolutely. MaxPax is going to have a tall order to hold this aggression, but the one thing he does have is that Dark Shrine, right? He did make it. We haven't seen the DTs come into play yet, but if he makes a big push, Shin, we could see those DTs run in and try and snipe some drones while it's happening. He's actually being aggressive here with the Adepts and the Stasis Wards. Going to try and pick off some Queens. A lot of Ling Bane coming over. Okay, he pushes here, sees there's no base. He's going to probably shade into the natural from there. There's Adepts everywhere suddenly, and Shin's army is kind of running around looking to try and get an engagement. Oh, you'd be very glad you didn't shade into those Hydras there. Everything would have died. And Shin just kind of letting these Adepts hang out at his 4th base here. He's going to have to clean these up pretty soon here. Okay, the Hydras do come over. The Stasis, not going to catch anything just yet. And MaxPax takes a 4th base behind this and Storm, so he's looking for that longer game.
Yeah, really well played with these shades. These Adepts finally are going to get cleaned up, only taking down 1 drone. But these Adepts getting caught on the left side on the watchtower is very painful right now. MaxPax, he was able to buy himself a lot of time, though. This wasn't particularly cost-effective, but Storm is now very close to being completed, maybe about 20 seconds away. There are a lot of Templar there at that 3rd base, some static defense also getting thrown down, and I feel like time, just as a resource, is critical here for MaxPax. He wants to have as many Storms as possible. Stasis Ward's already in position. Shouldn't be able to defuse one of them here on the left side, and he is setting up a magnificent arc for this timing attack.
Beautiful engagement. There's no Baneling speed, so they're going to waddle in slowly, but there's just so much Zerg here. The cannons doing their best. The storms go down, but there's still so many Hydras at the back. Oh, there's still like 5 Templars at the back. They got to stay alive and get a couple more storms off if MaxPax is going to have a hope of holding this. They're bundled in the corner, just trying to run away from all this Zerg that's here at the front. I think Shin has too much here. He's starting to get critical damage. The Nexus goes down. Shin fighting back here in game 2. Going to keep pushing on. The probes evacuate, get out of there to the 4th. And a bunch of them go down as well. And suddenly MaxPax's base is in tatters here.
Yeah, man, Shin just going so aggressive with this push, not droning up back at home hardly at all. Instead, identifies that there is a big weakness in MaxPax's play, a little bit too greedy there with the adept timing attacks. And Shin is going to tie this series up 1-1 in the elimination match. And now for both these guys, it's going to come down to one final map. If you win, you're going to advance to face Mana in that last series. If you lose, you are out of the RSL.
Everything to play for right now. So this is when you bring out your best build, right? You go, I've got to win this game no matter what. Let's bring my best A game here in game number 3. And that was such a weird game, right? The adept aggression versus the +1 melee kind of Ling Bane. We don't know if he would have committed fully with it or not. Like you say, Cyril did do that recently. But it kind of seemed to line up well for Shin in the end. And MaxPax lost so many adepts in the mid game. He wasn't really able to recover that army supply and hold off that attack by Shin in the end.
Yeah, I think the momentum was just too much right there for Shin. And, you know, we talked about he had a couple of different opportunities. You can either continue to try and drone, you can go up to Hive Tech, maybe go into Lurkers or something like that. But I think especially after that second round of Adepts came in, it was successful in buying MaxPax a lot of time. But I think both groups of Adepts did end up getting cleaned up. One of them at the third base there, Shin, and the other one got caught at the Watchtower. And that's just too much army supply to lose at that critical stage in the game.
Yeah, when he lost that big group of adepts to all the Banelings just exploding on them, that was brutal. And also, the Dark Shrine didn't really come into play.
Yeah, I don't think we actually saw a DT there.
I'm not sure if he made an Archon with it or used...
I don't think so.
I didn't see that really come into play, but that building is not cheap, you know, especially if you get it that early in the game. You got to do something with it, so maybe that's something he could change if it happens again.
I mean, I think it makes sense, right? Because it's something that you use if the initial adept attack is going to be able to get a lot of damage done, but you just didn't get an opportunity because nothing really went to plan. I don't think you want to plan for failure when you go for something like that, where it's like, well, if I get completely stomped with this, the Dark Shrine isn't useful. But
yeah,
I would have loved to see him unlock the potential of that building in that game, but he just did not have the opportunity to do it. And as you said, instead, it kind of was just a thorn in his side, right? It's a lot of money down the drain. Maybe he gets...
Could have had another storm or two if he didn't make that. You never know. I didn't see any observers there, overseers there at the end. I don't know if you could have made a couple. I mean,
that's true.
They do kill stuff fast, but you know, you got to put your gas in the High Templars, I guess, at that point. It's a tough decision to make, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's just no winning decision to be made after the Adepts flounder that hard, especially after the second wave. Yeah. In any case, that is Shin tying up this lower bracket series here 1-1, and map number 3 has loaded up. Shin versus MaxPax 1-1. Winner's going to go on to face Mana in the final match of the day. The loser is out of the RSL as we have another fan-voted map here, Cenotaph. Shin spawning in the top left is the red Zerg. MaxPax, the bottom right is the blue Protoss. It's our wonderful observer Mapu giving us the lay of the land here.
Oh, look at this little mineral patch here. Oh, stop some buildings going down there. That's very nice. This is kind of a desert feel. You know, a nice yellow map. This is something kind of interesting.
Oh, I like this tile set.
Yeah, I'm just enjoying looking around this map right now. We do see some bushes here later on the map. This base is kind of up on the high ground. This kind of ancient runes kind of feel in the desert, but with some kind of polyglyphs as well around or something.
I feel like we don't see this aesthetic very much in StarCraft 2 maps, and I'm kind of wondering why. It reminds me a little bit of Ohana from all the way back in the day.
Yeah.
I know that a lot of people weren't fans of, well, people weren't a fan of Ohana for a lot of reasons, but one of the ones that I saw people say is they said it felt like they were getting flashbang because the map was just too bright. But I kind of like the color palette here. This is a very beautiful map.
Yeah, something different, right? We see a lot of like gray and blue these days, I feel like, and purple and stuff, but this is something very different. Right now, though, we do just see normal openers, hatch gas pool for Shin. He did get his natural again. He wasn't blocked. And on the side of MaxPax is going to be that gateway into the Nexus and then get the core as the follow-up here. That little mineral patch is actually part of his wall here. That's kind of interesting. There's 2 mineral patches in the wall. I wonder how that throws off like how you make the buildings, or if they've accounted for that kind of distance.
It looks like it's 10 tiles between the minerals. Yeah, almost certainly 10 tiles, because that's a 1 tile gap. Each one of these buildings is going to be 3 by 3. So, I mean, maybe it's better for a Zerg, say if you... I don't know. You want a wider ramp for wider entrance to your natural for whatever reason.
Sure,
I'm not sure what the use case
uses.
is exactly, but because it's, I believe, 15 minerals, I think it was there at the
15,
natural
yeah.
expansion. I mean, I don't mind it too much. For MaxPax, you're not really anticipating 3 drones coming to mine out the mineral patches that you're natural.
Yeah, I'm trying to think when you would want to get
cool.
rid of these minerals.
I'm actually thinking about it a little bit more. This means that the entrance to the natural is a little bit wider. Like the base itself is wider, but the entrance where you would wall is the same size. So I wonder if that makes it a little bit better in terms of defensive play. Like you can get a better arc on the other side. I'm not sure. It's something I haven't really seen mixed into maps very much in StarCraft 2 thus far.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah,
We
cool
like
map.
to see some new stuff here. Shin going to take this 3rd base now as the Stargate goes down behind all of this for MaxPax. Going to open up with those oracles likely. We get an inject to the front as the Adept goes across the map. We have him going to poke at the front, just see what Shin is up to. All pretty standard so far. Shin did take guys off gas, so just going to be pumping as many drones out as he can. And yep, the 2 queens will meet the Adept, and he will not commit to the shade more than likely as the Lings come over to meet the Adept.
Yeah, so MaxPax is kind of developing normally here. We're at 315, so we'll see if he's going to send a probe down to that 3rd base and prepare for another expansion. As it is right now, just very standard play on both sides, and actually something that MaxPax scouted is telling him to build a 2nd gateway before taking the 3rd base. Not being particularly greedy here in map number 3, or maybe just not wanting to risk it with the tournament life on the line.
Maybe. We'll have to see what time that 3rd does go down. You can see it as quick as, just after 3:30 here for the Protoss, so it's a little bit later, like you say. He's going to poke him with the Oracle and the Adepts here, see if he can get any damage done. That 3rd base is just finishing up. Getting that tumor would be a nice little start here, stop that creep spread from coming out. There's still one more active tumor, but it's on the other side. Ooh, nice save with the drone, making that Evo chamber. The Adept shade into the main, but I'm not going to commit as the Lings are waiting for them. 14 Lings coming out now for Shin, so he will be able to send this home in a second here, along with the Queens. And yeah, not being able to get too much done with this pressure, but I don't think you expect to get crazy damage anyway.
Yeah, Ling's actually going for a surround right now on these Adepts, but they are slippery, finally able to get the surround on both of them, and I think that's a favorable trade here for Shin. Didn't have to pull those Queens away quite a bit, but those Adepts, they are pesky. They are a nuisance for sure, and this is also going to make, potentially open up the opportunity for some more harassment coming in from Shin later on as you see him sending the Lings directly to that 3rd base, because now an Oracle, again, kind of needs to defend this position.
Yeah, absolutely. So unfortunate that Oracle is out of energy, or he might have got like a ton of drone kills there. The Lings will attack this 3rd base for the Protoss, but it's high enough in HP that it will not go down. The Oracles are there to save it in time, and it's going to be a Blink and 3 more gates plus a Forge here for MaxPax as the follow-up. Layer on the way for Shin, and that +1 build again. +1 melee.
It's a small thing, but kind of interesting to me that MaxPax mined out the left mineral in his natural wall and instead added a structure there.
Yeah.
Curious.
Dude, if you mine out the right mineral patch, your probes can get to the 3rd a little bit quicker.
True,
Yo,
yeah.
you got to mine it out.
Watch that net somebody like 5 total minerals over the course of a 15-minute game.
It's probably not even worth it to lose the mining time. I don't know, just freeballing, but yeah.
No, it's funny. I like thinking about these things. Even though it's not very impactful, I like these little tiny features on maps like this one. It's cool.
Absolutely. 24 Lings coming out now for Shin. It looks like a kind of similar build to Game 2, but we don't have the Banelings this time. He's going to go straight into Hydralisks here. And he's making a ton of units. The Stalker Oracle push that we saw from Game 1 looks to be coming across the map right now. It hit so hard in Game 1. Shin's going to try and defend it without roaches this time. Lings and Hydras should do a better job matching into that Stalker Oracle pressure. He does see the 4th base as well. Oh. The Lings will suddenly run past the Stalkers. A couple go down. Warps in these units to not lose any probes. Got to make sure you keep all these alive. Okay, nicely done, especially with the shield battery. And yeah, this is looking like we're going to get into a mid-game here. Pretty even, I would say.
Yeah, quite even. If anything, I might give the edge to Shin just a little bit here because the early game damage from MaxPax, I think he got, what, 1 or 2 drones maybe in total? And you're very happy as Zerg if you're not really losing any drones early on. And So far, MaxPax just kind of posturing around right now with these stalkers in the center of the map. He is pulling them back at home, perhaps potentially sniffing out some aggression with these lings, but really it is just Shin trying to get some kind of damage done.
Yeah, I really like this from MaxPax. He identified that it's the +1 melee build, so he didn't send his Stalkers and Oracles too far across the map, right? If it's against roaches or something, you can pick off units, you can blink away, you can't be caught. But against these lings, you have to be a little bit more careful, because if you get surrounded, you can suddenly lose everything, right? Especially if the lings are split in a couple packs, they surround you, or one hits your third while you're not looking, that kind of thing. Shin going to be able to try and take out this, get control of this watchtower, but MaxPax pushes him back here on the right side. And MaxPax taking that 4th base there in the middle of the map.
Oh, interesting decision to expand towards the opponent.
Yeah.
Huh. I wonder if MaxPax is going to be playing more of a ground-based style because of this?
I kind of like this, though, because it means you can put your army between kind of like the natural and the third, but up a little bit.
True,
And you can kind of
yeah.
defend everything there quite compactly, I feel like.
That's a very interesting junction on the map. You usually don't see this kind of map architecture here in StarCraft 2, is these lings, I think, should be able to force a cancel. Indeed, they do. Only 3 Zealots wailing on them. And, 5 drop Overlords coming in right now for
Here we go.
Shin.
Yeah, 5 Dropper-Lords on the way. I think it was 7 in that other game, wasn't it? That was an insane amount of Dropper-Lords. 5 is still plenty, though. Shin going to be going on the aggression here. He's still only on 63 drones, so he's a little bit committed with this. He has to get some damage done here. The Dropper-Lord's going to go down to the south side of the map. They're going to hit the natural. The rest of the army is going to hit that 4th base that's, like you say, at the front, really close to kind of Shin's bases.
Yeah, and it's actually pure. Oh, wait, that's a healing zone right there under the watchtower. Look at that. I didn't even realize that was a healing zone.
Wow.
Okay, 5 drop Overlords coming into the natural expansion, but Stalkers are waiting for them already, and so Shin is going to be pulling the trigger right now, attacking this Nexus. Of course, because of that earlier cancel, is still not yet completed, so there isn't out here for MaxPax, but the Templar getting completely surrounded right now. The Storms are clutch. The Templar, the majority of them will be able to survive, being able to transform into, I believe, 2 Archons, but that cost him all of the splash damage. Now it is pure Stalker right now. Second Archon warping in. Zealots coming in to reinforce, and a big surround coming in from Shin. MaxPax jukes with a blink into the back, but this is so much army coming in from our Zerg player. The Hydras quickly taking out all of the static defense. That is a clutch storm, another clutch storm. MaxPax trying to save the day right now on 3 bases. If this 3rd Nexus falls, it is basically game.
Absolutely. Such a good move there by Shin. Dropping the lings out of the Overlords, realizing he couldn't get anything done to the natural. He sends them around for a wraparound, a flank, and he's getting so much damage here. MaxPax doing his best to hold on, but there's so many Hydras left over. He's pushing forward that War Prisms. Oh, it goes down, and GG is called. Shin takes game number 3 here, and MaxPax is out of the tournament.
Wow, I did not have MaxPax being eliminated first here in Group D on my bingo card.
No, dude. Wow.
Man, Shin really bringing his A game, and now the question has to be asked. Maru beat Shin, but MaxPax did it.
So you want to say who's the better Protoss?
Oh, honestly, it's kind of a surprising result. Just all included today, going from match number 1 with Maru versus Shin all the way here to match number 4. Of course, we have one final match left. That is going to be Shin versus Mana, happening in a little bit to decide who's going to be the last player to advance from Group D. But really, I mean, just an unexpected day in terms of gameplay, in terms of styles, in terms of results.
Right, we know Shin's got excellent ZVP. Let's not say, it's not like the craziest upset.
Yeah.
But I didn't expect MaxPax to lose 2 series in a row. I'm not going to lie. Like you say, definitely wasn't on the bingo card. But really well played to Shin in that game. I like his choice of strategies there. The Dropper-Lord play he's been doing in ZVP is really cool. Not just going for that late game every game, going to get some aggression going in the mid game. I like how he didn't overcommit with it. He saw there was enough defense in the natural. He just pulls back. Okay, there's high ground there. You can't pick anything off. He drops all the lings. I think that was the key move, honestly.
For sure.
He dropped all the lings out of the Overlord and sent them all the way to the 4th base to get that surround on the army. And then the Templar were all clumped up in a big ball. Didn't get the best storms, not what you're looking for when you only have 5 to work with. And you need every storm to hit if you're going to hold that push.
Yeah, I mean, the crisis management was clutch for MaxPax with those 5 Templar. The storms, given the situation, were fantastic, but at the end of the day, yeah, they do get cleaned up. Guys, if you want to support RSL, one of the best ways to do it is to follow us or subscribe on Patreon at youtube.com/@ReviveSC2. The team has been hard at work putting spoiler-free VOD playlists and such like that all up on that for Season 1. I'm sure they're going to be doing the same here for Season 2, and we would love to grow this YouTube as quickly as possible. Just get it big, get it great, and then if that happens, it really opens a lot of doors. You know, RSL is going to get presented to people with the algorithm on YouTube. We can attract more sponsors, make this tournament even bigger and better. So we would sincerely appreciate your support.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, think of it like a TV program, right? You know when it's going to be on. It's like Friends comes on at 9 o'clock or whatever. You're going to sit down, watch your RSL VOD with your dinner or whatever it is, where you are, you know, time of day. And you can catch all that stuff spoiler-free, like you said, and you can follow us like that.
All right, guys, we're going to go to a short break. When we come back, the final match of day 1 of RSL Season 2, Shin versus Mana. You don't want to miss it. We'll see you soon.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back. Tasteless and Sturgeon carrying the torch now. I was saying at the start of the show, I've never casted a MaxPax game. This is so crazy because he hasn't been in a tournament that I've casted, and I've casted pretty much everybody. He's finally here, and then I was not casted for this. He's gone. He's been eliminated.
Maybe in season
I think you need to get your mic down here.
I heard that was useful, yeah. Maybe in season 3, dude, you know.
Yeah.
But
I was
what an
this
upset,
close.
though.
I was this close to casting a MaxPax game and finally finishing my collection. It's like a little Steam unlock or something.
It's like a Pokedex. You get
yeah.
all the StarCraft 2 pros in there. You know?
Exactly. So our final match for the evening is going to be Shin versus Mana. A little bit of a plot twist here. I again thought MaxPax was going to perform a little bit better. I didn't expect him to get knocked out, but this is a welcome fight between these two, Shin and Mana. And yeah, let's see what happens. Shin's had a lot of ups and downs today. I would expect Shin to be able to beat Mana, but you definitely don't want to count Mana out. He's very crafty. Yeah,
look at Mana smiling. He's looking confident. He's looking happy. He's in the zone. One thing Shin has going for him is that he literally just played a PvZ. So he's very warmed up in this matchup. He probably knows what strategies he's going to go for. And Mana's going to play, his first PvZ of the day. So we'll see what happens. We do have some more normal maps here in this set. No Evil Heart or anything like that. Kind of the more standard maps that we are used to. Leylines, Magnatha, and Ultra Love. Ultra Love is one I do not enjoy as a Zerg player, but Shin's, much better, so I'm sure he'll figure something out there. And yeah, let's get into it. Game number 1.
Yeah, let's see what happens. So we've got Mana here in the top right, Shin down in the bottom left. And, excuse me, we'll see if Mana plays a slower game like we saw here from Maru earlier today. By the way, I can't get over the fact that we just saw Maru play God-tier Protoss.
It's so insane, dude. And not just timings, but like God tier, late game.
Yeah.
I can do everything, Protoss. I can make 20 Immortals. I can play Sky Toss. It's really insane.
No, it's funny because like everybody who's decent at StarCraft can off race. Like you do have to know a lot about the way your opposing race functions, so you know when you could punish them, or when they're the most uncomfortable, when they're going to take their next base, where they're at in the upgrades. But usually when you see somebody off race, they've got kind of like a gimmick they're doing.
Right, yeah. Like they learn one build and they practice it 1,000 times.
Yeah.
And they can hit really hard with it. But no, Maru can play, completely standard macro PvZ apparently.
Yeah, he had the full breadth of Protoss at his fingertips. And then that Immortal switch as well was wild.
I think he might have just changed the meta, guys.
Yeah.
We don't usually see that many Immortals, like after you've already got some Sky Toss out, right? Normally they just want to get as many carriers as they can, get that unbeatable death ball. But he was like, oh, you got 1 million lurkers? What if I make Immortals? That's a pretty good unit.
It's funny, too, because, like, I guess in my mind, once you get to Sky Toss, I don't really see people walk it back. Or in my head, I'm like, no, this is, you worked this hard to get this far. Now you have to stick with this, other than occasionally, like, they'll just get a burst of Stalkers after, like, they've lost a fight and harassed. But, yeah, to see the mass Immortal switch-up was interesting. So, anyways, the reason why I'm talking about that style of play is I'm curious how Mana's going to look in PvZ. Because Shin, he's got a pretty powerful mid-late game style of play.
Yeah,
like
definitely.
He tends to just kind of burst damage his opponents down. I thought the drop he did versus Maru was pretty damn smart. It didn't work out at all, but again, idea-wise, it seemed like a good idea.
Yeah, I really like it. He's going for that mid-game aggression. He's going to 66, 70-something drones. He's not going up to like 90 drones and trying to play that super late game. He's trying to make it happen in the mid-game, as that seems to be suit his style a bit more and the meta a little bit as well. He did go for the third base here, not at the natural location, but he took his natural at the third base location due to the probe. And I really like the +1 melee build he's been running as well. Like, everyone's playing Stargate these days. If you see that and you go for the +1 melee build, it kind of matches into that really nicely. Upgraded Lings are so good against Stalkers, and then you can follow it up with Banes, Hydras, and get those big timings in the mid-game like you talked about.
Yeah, so we've got 4 Lings coming in here. That core at the top does not block, so he just got right through there. And so he's going to have the 2 Lings running around there, as well as that Ling scouted inside the main.
Oh, that's very nice getting one probe. That kind of, you know, if you lose all the lings for nothing, okay, you got a scout, that's nice. But if you also get a probe this early in the game, it kind of feels like they paid for themselves almost, especially making the Oracle turn on its laser beam. Oh,
denied.
Denied. No exit for you there. And we will see this probe take the third base now for the Protoss. And yeah, Oracle on the way. The second Oracle, sorry, on the way now for mana. Actually not sending that first one across the map just yet.
I think he might be afraid that the Lings are going to pounce on that third Nexus. I think he just wants to defend.
He probably watched that last series, right?
Yeah.
Shin was doing that a lot, making quite a lot of Lings with the +1. I don't think he knows if he's got the Evo chamber yet, so he might want to keep that at home. Just make sure he gets his third base up. Nothing crazy happens too early in the game. And yeah, we see the Forge on the way as well as the Tylet Council and the Robo. So we're probably going to be going into Blinkstalkers, Oracles, that kind of standard Protoss mid-game.
Yeah, so we've got the creep pavement, the creep paving, excuse me, looking pretty good here so far. For now, it's going to be the Forge, Robo, and the Twilight Council finishing up here. Shin is heavily droning up. This is, I think, one of the little bit smaller maps that we have here. I feel like you're fairly close together, so we'll see, you know, what kind of expansion pattern Man is going to take here. Does he want to just try to move up into 12 when he eventually takes the fourth base, or what?
Yeah, it is quite small from like the Protoss natural to that Zerg third base.
Yeah.
It's actually quite a short distance, and that lends itself really well to kind of timing attacks, that kind of thing. And I'm getting a little bit worried here for Mana because he actually hasn't slowed Shin's economy down at all.
You know, it's pretty normal to see, like in almost every game, an Oracle kill like 3 drones, to the point where we never really mention it.
Yeah.
3 drones is a lot.
Yeah.
It never feels like a lot until you get to a high enough level where you go, oh wow, every worker is like so important. But to have like literally 0 drones killed here is something.
Yeah, he kept the Oracles at home, maybe afraid of some Lings coming out, like you said. And yeah, Shin's kind of got the dream early game here. He's ahead 6 workers right now at 5 minutes. It's pretty nice. These Oracles actually haven't even moved onto Shin's side of the map. They haven't dived a mineral line or anything like that. We now just see the 2 Adepts coming across. So he didn't pressure early, and Shin's going up into his Hydra Den. He's got his Evo chamber on the way, Roach Speed as well. These Adepts will not be able to get anything done, just got to leave. And it looks like Mana's just going to try and sit back and try to play a, you know, big macro game with Storm, with Immortals, with Gateway units, that kind of thing.
So the, excuse me, for now we're going to have the Oracles just continue to check here. Going to see that fourth base, it's up there. We've got the Charge about to finish up. A couple of Roaches are being made, but really it's going to be the Hydra switches, which is going to indicate that this game is going to look a lot like what we already saw here from Shin. He's going to power up into that really strong position in the mid-game.
Yeah, now the question is he going to try and make something happen? Is he going to send it off 60, 70 workers? Or is he going to drone up that fourth base, take some more gases, go into lurkers, that kind of thing? We should be seeing that decision in the somewhat near future. Really good defense, to be fair, with these Oracles. He keeps sending the Lings in, and each time they're denied, they get sent away. He hasn't lost anything. High Templar coming onto the field now. That's going to be very good at dealing with this Ling Hydra army that we see at the moment. No Roaches coming out, and well, okay, I say that as he makes one roach, just the lone Roach there. But no Banelings or anything like that, so we'll have to see what happens. This Warp Prism is coming out now. That's going to give Mana some offensive capabilities as well.
Yeah, the Warp Prism just about to pop here. This +1 is being chrono boosted out. And, you know, this is probably going to be the moment where we're going to see Mana maybe try to at least create a pin here with the Warp Prism and generate some threats. At most, a Warp Prism means you're going to push, right?
Right.
But I don't feel like it would make a whole lot of sense to push into Ling Hydra right now, right?
Dude,
but let's see. Actually, well, he's actually got a decent amount of Templars, so maybe he will.
Mana is not going for a fourth base here yet. I think
he is going to go for a 3-base push. I stand corrected.
Yeah, and I think it might be because of what you were saying about the map, the rush distance between the natural and the Zerg base here. He might have a good time in. Shin's going for an infestation pit. He wants to go to Hive, probably get lurkers, something like that, maybe Vipers, I don't know. But Mana's just going to try and make it happen here on 3 bases. All these Templar, the Immortals, storming through the middle of the map. That War Prism will group up with the army, be able to reinforce the army as well. And so many Zealots coming out. He actually hasn't got many Stalkers at all. It's going to be a ton of Zealots here warping in. This time it's going to hit pretty hard, I feel like.
Well, how many Lings are actually out, I wonder? Because, you know, Zealots are important, but, you know, if you've just got a ton of Storm and it's just a lot of Hydras, you don't have that much to worry about, right? So he's going to come in here now. A lot of damage onto those Hydras. They move out and then move back in here. A huge storm down there. Oh my God, that so didn't work.
Oh my God.
Nothing has ever not worked as bad as that did not work. Like, we saw the push coming out. We were trying to make sense of it.
I was like, oh, he's going through a three-base timing. I was like, this is going to hit hard. There's so many Zealots. But Zealots, like you say, against Roach Hydra, not the best.
No, not the best.
Against tons of Lings, they can trade amazingly well.
Man.
That just flopped. Like, the Warp Prism died instantly before that big Warping came in.
Yeah.
That really hurt the kind of size of the army that Mana had there. And
we don't see a lot of those kinds of timing attacks anymore.
Yeah.
Like 3-base, the Warp Prism, you've got this mix of units. But, you know, maybe if Shin had droned much, much harder, it would have worked.
Yeah, if he'd gone for that Hive and tried to get more tech.
Yeah.
But I think it all comes back down to the early game again. Like, he didn't slow the Zerg down at all. Shin was maxed.
Shin was... It almost felt like a little bit of an anti-timing. Yeah, no, Shin wasn't slowed down in the slightest bit. Very much so powered up. And even at the time... excuse me, I'm a little hoarse today. You know, even when we were watching him sit in this base, we thought, okay, doesn't feel like it makes sense to push. Then we saw him push, and we thought, okay, well, maybe we can try to make sense of this. But yeah, complete anti-timing there when he came in.
Yeah, I mean, he went for it. Shin's kind of read it very well. He didn't tech up too much. He got the Infestation Pit. He said, okay, if you take a 4th base, I'm probably going to go into Hive, go into that late game. Maybe pressure with the Roach Hydra, but he didn't need to in the end because Mana came to him, and he was just massing layer units, right? That's kind of what you want to do anyway, so it really works out well there for Shin. Able to take map number 1 on ley lines. Our next map is going to be Maganatha here for game 2. Nice big map, so I'm curious if Mana will try something aggressive again, or if he's going to go for just infinite macro Protoss, expand, Sky Toss, that kind of thing. We'll have to see. Shin looking very relaxed, by the way.
Yeah, Shin looking cool as a cucumber. Gonna go with the half green screen background here for this time around. Yeah.
Do you guys want to see half my room and half not my room?
In case you're wondering, I do have a second computer chair in the background. That's right.
Imagine if he streamed like that. That would be so funny. Just showed half the room.
I don't know about you, but like, you know, obviously we all live in Korea, so the apartment space is usually not that big.
Right.
But like, we have 3 computer chairs in my house, right? One for me, one for my wife, and then there's this extra one that we just literally never sit on, but we haven't thrown out yet, and the cats sometimes go on there, but that one ends up getting pushed into my streaming room when I'm not streaming, and then when it's time to stream, I move that into my living room PC. So, anyways,
musical chairs.
Little glimpse into the room of Shin there for a second.
Yeah, so, and the life of Tasteless.
And the life of Tasteless.
Moving his chairs around every day.
Tasteless, you have 2 computers in your house. You must be a millionaire.
Why don't you just get rid of a chair instead of moving every day?
Because the cat gets. I don't know. The cat likes to sit there. Sometimes, you know, the cat doesn't game as hard as I do, but I'll have the little cat chair next to me.
I have seen the cat cam. That's nice.
Yeah, the cat cam is nice. It's fun.
Looks a little bit annoying, but also nice. Like when they jump on the keyboard and all that, you know?
Well, it's fine until I'm actually in a game, and then we're on the verge of animal abuse. At that point in time, I'm like, am I going to drop a rank because my cat's walking on the table? Yeah. I go, PETA can't find you here, and I just kill my cats. Okay, so in this game, we had a little hatch block, so we put the hatchery at the 3rd base. I think we're going to have a different looking game here from Mana.
Yeah.
I wish we could understand what the mindset was back there for trying to attack out like that. I wonder if he thought maybe the droning was going to be too heavy. Although I guess he would have wanted to attack earlier than if... Because when you're maxed out, it doesn't matter, right? Drones have served their purpose at that point.
I'm thinking that build might be specifically to counter a +1 melee build where you have tons of Zerglings. Because he had all those charge lots and Storm. And, you know, if you also go for Banelins or Hydras, the Storm's excellent against those. You have so many Zealots that just, you know, delete Zerglings. So I don't know if he thought Shin was going to go for the melee build again. Shin did go back into the Roach Hydra, which kind of worked out perfectly for him in that game. I'd like to see Mana be a little bit more aggressive and pressure in the early game here. I'd like to see the Adepts try to get some damage, the Oracles kind of go in. If you can do that while getting your 3rd base as the Protoss, that's when you get into that really good mid game that can propel you into a stronger late game as well.
So for now, we've got the Stargate coming up. Everything's looking, very standard, very par for the course here in a PvZ. So much of that last game seemed to come down to what Mana chose to do, and less about Shin at all.
Right.
I mean, I don't think Shin was expecting an attack really at all back there. But then when it came, he went, all right, well, I've got stuff too, and just won the fight.
Yeah, it was kind of like one of those campaign missions where a big push is coming at 15 minutes, and,
Yeah.
you have to like make as many workers as you can and then as much army as you can to defend that one specific thing. And if you do, you win the game, right? Like,
yeah.
Complete the mission. It was obviously a very strong push from Mana. If he kept the Warp Prism alive, it would have hit harder, but it got completely shut down. But we are in the next game. Oracle on the way here. This Overlord gonna survive for just a moment more, kind of trying to hide between the natural and the third here. The Stalker has to run all the way around to try and pick that off. I think it's actually not safe there. Oh, no, it just is.
Oh, yeah, no, that is elevated. No,
Oh, there's high ground. Oh, there's high ground. Oh, yeah, of course,
Just
yeah.
at that angle, it's almost like a little bit deceptive. It looks like that pillar is the same.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, no, it's not high ground. The Oracle will come over. He just couldn't see it. And
Yeah,
it
yeah.
will go down. Yeah, I was thinking I never get to put my Overlord there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it does go down in the end. Robo Twilight on the back of this, as well as the third base for Mana. He's kind of playing that passive style again. The Oracle's kind of sitting at home. He's going to try and macro up here.
Yeah, so this is usually a pretty slow part of a PvZ if they're both going to play like this. We have Protoss basically filling in or ticking all the boxes, so to speak, of Protoss tech and developing. And Zerg is drone hungry. So neither side can really generate a threat here. Although we are going to see the Warp Prism start very quickly here. Maybe he wants to make, 4 Adepts and harass here, or he's getting at Templar Archives. Maybe there's two Archons. We don't have Archon drops that much anymore, but you could do it.
You could do it, yeah. I'm curious if it's going to be the same build as the last game. He is adding on 3 more gateways now. We'll have to see what upgrade he goes for. If he goes for charge, it could be a similar kind of timing. You could go for blink as well. Does confirm that the layer is going down, no crazy hatch all in or anything like that. And yeah, like you say, Shin is just pumping drones right now. He's going to get up to the 60s. Adding 4 more gases here, so he went super greedy early on. Didn't get too many gases early. Get as many minerals out. Get that third base saturated ASAP. And 3 High Templars.
Oh no!
Oh, he
saved it.
He morphed it. Okay. Tasers, you threw me off then. Oh, no! He morphed it.
I don't know what's going on.
But still, that's still terrible,
he lost
right?
a Templar. I mean, you need 2 Archons to really do that. You can't Archon harass with just 1 Archon, right? It's nowhere near as strong.
Right.
So,
yeah.
I mean, the fact that one Templar was killed was devastating.
Yeah, this kind of taking the wind out of the sails here for Mana. He's adding a ton of gateways, so I don't expect we'll be seeing
Taking
the
the
fourth
sails
base.
off the boat is what this is doing.
He's just throwing. We got a sailless boat right now.
No wind, not even sails, nothing. No oars.
A gentle breeze.
Yeah. Just a piece of wood floating in the ocean. So he makes his second Archon here.
Just some driftwood.
Some driftwood.
But yeah, he's getting charge again, so I think he's actually going to try a similar build here. He's getting the Immortals, he's got charge on the way in +1. Ton of gateways. He is doing the Archon harass this time, which is nice. Does manage to save that 1 Archon. The Ling harass not going to do anything, just poking around, seeing if there's a hole there. There is not. 13 Hydras coming out right now. And yeah, another Robo here, actually. Going to go double Robo and Storm here.
So he's going to come in again. And, this has been very thematic here for Shin today. Going to, going to get another tag there, basically trying to monitor the growth and the progress here for the Zerg. Zerg on 4 bases right now. We may see that 3-base time in attack.
Yeah, we very well may if we don't see the 4th going down soon. Actually going to warp in a few more units here. Try to get this deny on the base.
So this is like a force cancel, I guess. I guess he knows he could snowball the damage, but
you've got to be so careful. That Warp Prism, no Mana. Oh, he loses it again.
And the shields, they take full damage, so the Hydras can just target that down.
Absolute nightmare.
If I understand what he was trying to do there, I think he wanted to snowball the damage down. I don't know if it was a good idea. Because, obviously it was a terrible idea because it backfired, but I don't know if it was a good idea even if he got away with it, just because you could cancel there.
Yeah, if you get the cancel, it's nice, right? You slow down the Zerg eco, that's always good. But it's one of those things where it's so hard to judge it in the moment, and
Yeah.
it's turned out to not work for him. And you spend the whole game building up to that little harass squad of, 2 Archons and a War Prism, and you lose it.
Right.
Suddenly you're in the mid game, not looking too good. He does have a lot of High Templar here.
But if I could just jump in for a second, one thing that worries me is this is basically a lot of what happened in the previous game, in that the Zerg was never slowed down.
Right.
Why would anybody bother to Archon harass? Well, Archons are almost entirely shields, which regens, right? And it's fairly easy to micro, right? And so you're pretty much always going to trade out stuff. You're going to kill lings and creep tumors or maybe corner something of greater importance, but that didn't do anything, basically.
Right, yeah, it's supposed to be guaranteed damage. And meanwhile, Shin is maxed out here. Actually cancels the 4th. I think Mana knows he needs to just defend it, warping in as many units as he can, not even trying to take that 4th base again. He has a ton of storms. That's basically all he has going for him. Only 140 supply. This beautiful arc of Hydras. Oh, nice splits as well. Makes him use a ton of storms to not even kill many Hydras. There's only 4 High Templar, 5 maybe with storms left. The Lings flood in after some of the storms have gone. Beautiful engagement here by Shin, minimizing that splash damage so much here, Tasteless.
He's going to come in right now. This is kind of an awkward angle here for the Protoss. The Zealots are starting to really thin out. Shin's been very, very smooth with his control on these Hydras. A 1 HP Hydra still deals a lot of damage until it's killed off. And so he can basically back up, create this arc, and then close in on that. Another great dodge on the storms here. Some of these Hydras are so low. 1 or 2 more good storms would be huge. The cybernetic score is hanging out here. It could be picked off. That would shut down any more stalkers.
Yeah, it's actually been depowered there as well.
So are these robos.
Yeah, that's insane. 2 Immortals halfway in production there actually can't come out. And he needs every unit he can right now. This Protoss army getting absolutely surrounded. Shin gonna move in for the killing blow, picking off the Immortals, getting the High Templars. GG, Shin with a super strong time in there.
That's too bad. I think the mana, honestly, is a lot better than what those games showed there. But, again, like we were saying before, it's kind of like the same idea. He did no harass in Game 1, and in Game 2 it was actually backfired harass. Right. I mean, whenever you're doing something like an Archon drop where you're trying to just stay active, War Prism is so... You're going to do so much exploitative maneuvering and punishing and scooping up the Archons at range. And then the Archons, as long as you don't lose them, you're fine because the shields are going to regen later. You can combo that in with your push. I mean, but if you lose all of that, then it's not even about your timing attack not working. Now it's about you probably can't even defend your base.
Right, yeah, he tried to take that 4th and immediately realized he definitely could not take that against the attack that Shin was going for.
Yeah.
Shin playing a bunch of different kind of mid-game timings, like a similar theme in all the games. Like, I'm going to hit you just before 70 drones when you try and take that 4th base. Either in a big arc or from a couple angles, shut down that Protoss before they get to that killer late game that they have. I think Mana did get the fleet beacon that game. We didn't see anything come of it because he had to just make what he could. But yeah, once those buildings got depowered, the Immortals couldn't come out. It was just too much Zerg.
I didn't even appreciate how bad it was going until we actually panned up the top. It's like, oh, everything's unpowered up there. So, guys, we did Group D today because of some scheduling conflicts. So, are we coming back with Group A? Group B tomorrow? Okay, thank you. A little bit of group alphabet soup over here at the RSL. So we did Group D, but we're going to come back with, logically, Group B the next day. I think we'll close out with Group A then on Sunday, right? Okay. So anyways, guys, these are our groups. As you can see, Maru and Shin move on. Mana and MaxPax, our 2 Protosses, our 2 foreigners, our non-Koreans, did die out here in Group D. But the rest of these groups are going to be great. We're super excited to be back here with Season 2 of the RSL. It's going to be on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. 3 days off from that, and then it's going to pick right back up. So if you're watching live right now, feel free to join us tomorrow and for the next 2 days. If you're watching on YouTube, you see the schedule now. If you're able to join live, feel free to. We also have everything spoiler-free on YouTube. So if you miss some of the action, you want to tune in, it's all there for you as well. We are going to have our offline finals. We wanted to get through Season 1 before we started planning this out. Season 1, I think, was a great success. We've had a blast doing it. It's been very rewarding to build out this studio, the graphics, trying to set up the format. So we're going to rent out one of these giant venues here in Korea. You can come. We're gonna be selling tickets, or for high Patreon supporters, you can come. I think you're gonna get a ticket already. I can't remember what tier it is off the top of my head, but we're gonna have 15 million won in prizes. It's gonna be crazy, and that's gonna be sometime in December. Next week, I gotta go look at a couple venues and figure out what makes sense for us. But we are super excited, so please spread the word on that. Our official partner is Archon Studio. They are the tabletop miniatures game company, the very best one in the world. They're making a StarCraft tabletop miniatures game. It's not for sale yet. That should go for sale, or pre-sale, I believe, at the end of the year. But everything that they've got is awesome. They've got stuff from games that I love. I had no idea there were miniature tabletop games for all these other games. Like one of them that I love that's not related to what we're doing here, but like Heroes of Might and Magic 3. I thought that's so cool. A lot of great stuff on there. So we appreciate their support. Guys, do the right thing. Don't be a bad person, okay? What's a bad person? Someone who's not signed up for the Patreon, okay? We got a whole bunch of different tiers, depending on what level of support you want to give. And the higher the level of support, the more you get to interact with the tournament. We do a little podcast here out of the studio as well. You can submit questions. You can vote on maps. You can vote on players. So consider signing up. We've also... I'm sorry, I'm like so hoarse. I'm like trying to not... Hold on, guys.
You want me to take this one?
You talk about the merch.
All right, guys, we got some RSL merchandise.
I've only got 3 sentences left before the
Tasters
show
is dying.
ends.
It's all good. Yeah, we've got the hoodies, we got the mugs for your cup of tea, your coffee, whatever it is you like. We've got the T-shirts, the pins, all that beautiful merch. Check it out, guys, at tastelessthreads.com. Patreon supporters, of course, getting that massive 20%. 20%. It's been a long day, dude.
I call it highway robbery. That's right. 20% off on all merch at Tasteless TV. Tastelessthreads.com. So check it out, guys. That's right. The next one's the YouTube slide. So, guys, go subscribe to our YouTube. It's growing fast, but not fast enough. It's kind of like, what is the movie Speed, where if the bus slows down, it blows up? Well, that's what's going to happen to our YouTube. If the subs don't grow fast enough on our YouTube, the channel will explode. So, please, get on there, subscribe. It's really important, especially in StarCraft 2, to have a lot of people on your YouTube. A lot of people get their StarCraft news and tournaments from YouTube. It's sometimes, especially in the region we're in Asia here, it's hard if you're an English speaker, depending on where you are in the world, to watch us live. So subscribe to that, leave a comment, all the YouTuber stuff. Let me know what you think in the comments, guys. Is that it? Did we do it?
I think we did it.
Go to his Twitch channel. He streams all the time. Sturgeon,
I'm actually crying right now. You got me dying. You got me dying.
He's crying because he said, "Please don't mention my Twitch stream on the show." And now I'm doing it. What is your Twitch channel?
I don't know. Sturgeon UK.
Sturgeon UK.
Sturgeon
okay,
UK.
just like it says at the bottom of the screen.
Oh, there it is. Yeah.
And I guess that's it, guys. So we're going to be back tomorrow. Thank you for joining us for for day 1 here of the RSL. We will see you tomorrow and throughout this week. We love you. Bye-bye.